And we're live. James, you contacted me a couple of months ago, and to cut a long story short, I ended up inviting you onto the podcast. You said you were keen to do it, but that you wanted to do it after the Ross, is it?
Yeah. So, the Ross is come and gone now. So I did say like I'm flat out trained at the moment. I didn't have a most of my spare time was spent training for the Ross at that point. So now that it's over and done with, here I am.
And
So
forgive my ignorance, but what exactly is the
yeah, well,
Ross? Can you lay it out for
the
people?
the Ross is it's an 8 day stage race in Ireland. So like I guess it's Ireland's equivalent of the Tour de France, for want of a better term. It's obviously not the same level as the Tour de France, but it's when I say stage race, a lot of people don't even know what that means. So a stage race is it's 8 days, and your time is accumulated every single day. So it's then you have whoever's the slowest time every day. It all builds up. So and then the leader wears the yellow jersey until such time as someone else gets a faster time the next day, and then he takes over it. But the Ross, it's been going on since the 50s in Ireland every year, and it's a it's a unique enough race in the sense that worldwide, in the sense it has professionals and amateurs all competing against each other in the same race. So the amateur teams or professional teams will be drawn from all parts of the continent. This year they had there was a Dutch team, German team, Belgian team, a couple of English teams, Welsh team, American team, and then you had lads like myself, like county riders as we're called. So we represent a county team. So I was in Dublin. St. Tiernan Cycling Club was the name of our team. There'd be various teams from Dublin, Cork. Last year Navan had a team, but they didn't have one this year. All over the country. So this year I competed in it for the second time. I haven't done my first one last year. So I have two Ross under my belt now, which is more than I ever thought I'd have. I started cycling this is my fifth year actually racing the bicycle, and when I started off first, I said, I'll just do it for a laugh. And then you just get into it very quickly and become pretty much obsessed with it. Like, I heard you speaking to Darren, like, I've in the same boat as Darren, probably worse, to be honest, but in terms of obsession levels. But yeah, like, it's for a county rider like myself, who's unfortunately too long in the tooth to ever become a professional now. Doing the Ross is as good as it's like the pinnacle for me. Obviously, like getting a like every day, like you have various prizes on offer every day. So you have the winner, obviously, and then you have the first county lad over the line as well. He'll get a special prize for him, and then there's
The first Mead man or Dublin man, say.
the first lad from an Irish based like county team, like where I'd be or where Navan would be. There'd be a prize for him, and there's also a jersey for him as well. But like to get up in the county prizes one of the day, or to get a top 10 overall, would be a brilliant goal. But obviously I was a long way off that both years, especially last year. But
And sorry,
I
you
got
said you were
through
a
it.
bit long in the tooth. Just for people listening, what age are you?
I'm 35. To be honest, 35 is not really in terms of county riders. It's probably a little bit above average because there are a few young lads, but to be honest, a lot of lads seem to be around the same age myself. Like on our team, last year I was probably about the middle, and this year I was the second oldest, but the youngest would have been 30. So there's five in the team. Every team would have five people. Uh, we did it with three crew members last year, and we had four this year. So it's nine people on the road, and it's a brilliant week now. Everyone always asks me, will you go again? Will you do a third one? Will you do this? Will you do that? And I would love to do a third one, but it's just because being involved in the Ross, like it's, even if you're not cycling, it's just a brilliant week to be involved in. Like, you're going around and it's just staying in hotels, getting lads carrying your bags, getting everyone filling your bottles for you, getting massages every night. You're pretty much having to live like a pro for the week. You're surrounded by other pros, and if you don't take it that seriously, you may forget about it. You have to go home, so you have to really prepare for it. And I guess that's where I came in. That's both years, like we were him and Han, will you put a team in, or will you try and get a guest? Like, you can ride for another team. Let's say Navan needed a spare rider, and I said I'd love to do it with you guys. And then, but it's hard. It's a lot easier to just do it yourself. So we did a bit of fundraising. We got a sponsor on board, and we pretty much put the team together ourselves, like from scratch. Like, we had to organise a car, we had to do all that, organise together, budgeting, booking hotels, and like the pro teams, obviously they'd have a manager who'd look after all that for them. For ourselves, that was left down to the team.
And just on that, like the crew, the car, the hotels, the clothes being transported around you,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
spare bikes, the tire, all that kind of jazz.
yeah.
Can you lay out like on race day? So when it all kicks off on a Monday, say, so
Yeah.
everyone meets up Where?
Yeah, so
Say,
it started.
walk us through it.
This year it started in Drogheda on Sunday.
Okay.
Sunday, about 3 or 4 weeks ago on Sunday, and so all the teams would meet up there. Like for us, like we have a van and a team car. That's our vehicles for the week. So what happens is the manager, or the DS as he's called in cycling, the director sportif, he drives the car for us, and then we have a mechanic as well, and he sits in the car. So that if his job during the race would be, if one of us got a flat tire, he'd have to jump out of the car and just run up and change the wheel from really quick and send him on his way again. So he'd have to have 2 wheels ready at all times. It's just if you saw one of the lads standing inside the road after getting a puncture, he'd go run out and give it to him. He'd hand bottles out the back window as well of the car if the riders need another drink. That'd be his job. And this year, we're thankfully, the lad who gave us the lend of the car for the week, he said, I want to come along. I give you the car, I'd like to come along for the week as well, just to...
For the experience of it.
Yeah, like he's rode it 3 times himself, and just this year he just said he didn't train enough for it, so he just skipped it, but he wanted to come on the week anyway, so he sat in the passenger seat for the whole week, and it was great to have him, because like, it's just an extra pair of hands in the evening as well if you need someone. So then the 5 riders set off down in the race, and the cars follow.
The what, sorry?
The 5 riders. The race starts in Drogheda, and the first stage was Drogheda to Athlone. So
and is it each team departs at different times?
Oh no, it's all big mass starts. Yeah, so it's
the whole lot is all together.
Everyone goes together, and then first man over the line wins.
And who's to say which team is closest to the start line? Because presumably you're not all, there's not 150 in a line.
Every day, like everyone wants to start at the front,
of course,
because like you have to be really aggressive to stay there. Like everyone, it's getting to the front is the easy part, but staying there, because once the car starts moving off and the flag goes down, and takes you a second to get your foot clipped into the pedals, and then before you know it's your 20th wheel, and then before you know it's your 50th wheel. So you have to be really aggressive. Anytime you see any sort of gap open up in front, you need to go right into that, because everyone wants the front wheel. So you'll have lads climbing over walls, climbing over gates, just marching. Just you can see them walking up the footpath with the bikes over their head, just walking, plomping down right there in front of the car. And there's very little anyone else can do about it. Like a lad might have been waiting at the front 20 minutes before it starts just to have the front wheel, and then
so it's a bit of a free for all.
It's a free for all in terms of who gets close to the bumper, because like what happens is you roll out of the town. Let's say the second stage is at Athlone to Tipperary, so the lead car will be there in front of you, and when everyone sees the lead car getting ready, like it could be 10 minutes before it starts, but they'd all go over and congregate behind his car, forsake their warm up just to get a good spot in the bumper.
Right.
And then stay as close to that car as you can, and then you drive a mile or 2 out the road and drop the flag, so the race starts then, and the car drives off in front of you, and then the race and all start. Everyone starts going ballistic. But if you're at the back at this point, you're kind of screwed, because you're kind of hanging on for the day. And a lot of the time I do find myself at the back, just because that real slow riding through the town just to get out onto the road starts, and there's lads up in footpaths, there's traffic, it was just very hairy every morning. So invariably, like, I'd start at the front, but by the time the racing starts, I'd be in a shit position again, way at the back. But I thought, if you're asking me, like, everyone's like, another thing people are always saying, how does it compare to last year? Like, last year was 20 times harder than this year, I thought, and it's not just because I was any better. I was actually physically, I was probably a little bit better this year, but not much. But see, for years, the Ross, the crowd that organised the Ross, had a sponsor, On Post. So it was always, for the last 6 or 7 years up until last year, it was called the On Post Ross. So they had a load of money coming in from On Post every year to sponsor them, and with that money they could afford to attract more foreign teams and a higher caliber team over.
With prize money, is that how you attract them?
Yeah, it's prize money, and also like it'll cost, if you're a foreign team coming over, on top of your flights and getting here, it probably costs about 10 grand to keep 8 or 9 people on the road for 8 nights. It's just like food, accommodation, all that. So it just it all adds up, like, for, like, if everyone's paying 30 quid a night for their meal, that's 240 quid for 8 people every night, and then plus their accommodation. So it all adds up pretty quickly. So what the Ross would often do is either give, like, say, oh, come on over, we'll pay for your accommodation or something if you come over and do our race with us. And so when they didn't have that this year, they weren't able to attract this same caliber of rider over. So it was as a result, there was maybe 40 less people. I think last year 195 started, and this year 155 started. So those 40 people were probably the pros that they couldn't afford to
entice over
this year. Yeah.
And is there prize money or?
Oh yeah, there is significant prize money. Like I don't know what it never had to concern me now. Prize money,
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't getting a prize. Like my goal last year was just to finish it, and I wanted to finish second last year. That was my goal, and I managed to finish fourth last. But like to be honest, like I'm always saying that as if it's a bad thing, but loads of people just had to pull out of the race for various reasons. Every day there's a time cut. Okay, so if the winner finishes 20% of his time, if you finish outside that, you're not allowed to start the next day. Like you've missed the time cut.
Right.
So
it starts with what, 150? Was it?
Yeah, I think 155 rolled out of. Could have been about 130 or say, or maybe less.
Okay, so
25. I think. There's a lot of food poisoning going around on one of the stages, so a lot of teams lost 2 or 3 lads to food poisoning one night. Yeah, I think it was either Carlo or
in a dodgy hotel.
Mitch is saying it must have been. Yeah, I didn't hear too many details. Now I just heard, oh my God, the boys lost 2 riders last night to food poison.
Sabotage.
And then between crashes, like there's a lad from Stamullen there, a savage rider like Keane Delaney's his name. He was really going well, and on the 4th stage, we are only 15-20 minutes into it, and he it's coming down a really fast narrow road, turn a sharp left and then a bridge. So a bridge always equals trouble.
Yeah.
A bridge, because the road always narrows to a little bridge with, like, you know yourself, waist high wall on either side, and that just lads always panic there. And not saying always, but invariably you'll have some sort of crash or some sort of dilemma when you're going through a bridge. So the crash happened a few rows in front of me, but everyone was kind of going down really slowly. But just whatever way he fell, he broke 3 of his ribs, he punctured his lung, everything. Like, so he's finished for the season now, and he was going really well. So it's disappointing. But I don't know the guy personally now, but you see him. It's the same lads you see every single week. So it's just this, between crashes, obviously food poisoning, a lot of lads are sick. Another friend from another team in Dublin fell and broke a rib as well on one of the days. Another friend of mine had crashed the week before it started, and he did 4 stages, but he was struggling badly with his injury from the previous week, so he had to pull out. The 5th stage, we started on 5k out the road. He literally physically couldn't do it anymore, he said, so he had to just bail, unfortunately. But so yeah, these things happen, I suppose. It's racing, everyone knows the risks involved, but thankfully I avoided crashes both years now. To be honest, in 2 years, that's 16 stages, like 2,500 kilometers in total racing. I didn't even get a puncture in that whole time. I had no mechanicals. And one of the lads, like probably our best rider, 2nd stage, he was in a great position, 30k to go, and he crashed and hurt his knee. Like, he busted his knee. It was pretty serious. He didn't do a huge amount of damage to his bike, nothing that couldn't be replaced that night and get him going again the next day. But he was very lucky now to get away as lightly as he did. Just a busted knee. He was struggling to walk for the week, but once he got onto the bike and got pedalling,
he was okay.
He seemed to be good. But yeah, we thankfully both years now we finished with 5 riders, the same 5 starters every time. So it was looking throughout the county teams, because when you come back, it finishes in Skerries on the 8th day. Like, so start Sunday, finish the following Sunday in Skerries.
And sorry, is it around the coast? Or?
Yeah, no, this year, like, it changes every year. So this year went to Dublin, or Drogheda to Athlone, then Athlone down to Tipperary, and then we were in Listowel and Kerry, Mitchelstown, Glengariff and Cork, and back up Carlow, Naas, through Wicklow, and then to Skerries then at the end. So it was when you get back to Skerries, then it's a kind of presentation for every team. Every team goes up onto the stage, gets
the podium and
gets their medals and waves to the millions and
of adoring fans.
Yeah, that are out there. Yeah, so it's a great moment now. But we were looking up. God, I'd say only half the county teams started to finish with their 5 riders, and we were one of them. So we were delighted with that now. So it is a good achievement, because the club of our size, like, we're based in around Dundrum area. Like, you know, it's not like there's a clubhouse or anything like that. So it just tends to be in that area where people from that area, people who live in that area tend to join our club. But like 3 years ago, we couldn't even, like, we were struggling to get people to turn up for any racing on Sunday. And now we've done 2 Rosses, so it's a huge thing. Like, like I said before, for county teams, it's the pinnacle to have a team in the Ross. Obviously, to get a result would be better. But we're getting there. Like I say, like three lads. The team we had last year, 2 of us did it again this year, and we had 3 new lads doing it, and the 3 of them did really well. And there's hopefully great things to come from at least 2 of them, because one of them is actually from Finland, and he's moving home now in a month, I think, and he's taking over his father's business, and so he's not going to do it again. Well, you never say never, but the other 2 lads now are motoring well, and so you never know. Next year, if we got 1 or 2 more new lads in that were really strong, we could really push for a county prize of some sort, or a team prize, or even get like a top 5, like a county rider would be brilliant. Like, so we'll see. Just like, it's not. Last year the goal was to get everyone around it. This year it was everyone did a lot better. But next year, like I think if we were to put it in next year, we'd be looking for a bit more than just getting around it again. Like, you know, so we're building up slowly. So it's
that's how
that's exactly
really,
yeah. So it's you can say, like, even like last year everyone, we're all delighted to get around. This year, like, someone will say, oh, kicking yourself, I fucking should have made that move, or I should have at least tried to get up there and all that. But like, it's hard to get away from that mind frame where you just want to get around it, you know. But some days, like 2 days, one day in particular, it was a stage from Listowel to Glengariff, so I went over every single hill in Kerry and Cork, and I'm not a good climber by any stretch of the imagination. I can ride really hard on flat roads, but when it starts going uphill, I'm not that heavy. Like, I'm well above average for a Ross rider, but I'm still not. I should be a better climber than I am. I just struggle on the hill. So that day I was swinging from the start. Now I was going uphill really quickly, and it was a grim day, but got around it anyway. So that was once you're there the next day.
That's what it's all about.
The goal was, like, after 30k, it became clear that the goal is finishing within the time cut today. So we were pretty worried about it all day. When we went into Glengariff, then disappointed. Please fucking say I made the time cut. And then, like, 10 minutes later, a few other lads came in after us, and they were told that they had made it. So then I was safe then, like, you know. So,
and just on that, like, are you in regular contact or constant contact with your car?
Yeah,
or your team,
that day I was in contact with the car, but you see, the problem is I was so far behind the front of the race that, like, it's the commissar would be at the front of the race, and he'd be on the radio telling.
So the commissar.
The commissar would be like the judge or whatever of the race, like the organizer of the race. So he'd be looking, the rule keeper, whatever you want to call him, like he does.
Yeah.
So he's on the radio, and he'd be saying, like, oh, blah blah blah, we've just come through whatever town, and then, but the radio is not like a satellite, so once you get out of range of the radio, which their car was, they didn't really know, so they'd be making a few phone calls, and, like, they'd say, okay, the race is finished now, James. You have 30 minutes to do 15k or something. So then you know you're
safe.
You should be good after that. Like last year, on one of the stages in Donegal, the Navan car was with us, because there was 3 or 4 Navan lads in the group with me, and they were coming up to us, right lads, you have 20 minutes to do 10k, so you're grand. So we rode in, then did the 10k in about 16-17 minutes, I'd say, and we made it by like 30 seconds or something. So we're getting shit information, so you have to be
fucking hell.
You have to be prepared for that as well. Like, so
bastards.
No, they weren't doing it for they
were.
Yeah, well, they were putting 3 of their own riders at risk. But it was just gas, because they were so certain that this was the game. And I said, what the fuck, lads? Because we said, oh, grand, let's not just make it. We have loads of time. And then it turned out we didn't. But anyway, we got there in the end. We got through it. But
you got through it, and that, you know,
so
you but you would have been fairly fucking pissed off if you hadn't.
Because that was the 6th stage, I think. So, and the last 2 stages were relatively straightforward last year on paper, and that was the hard one. But yeah, imagine if you did 6 stages and you missed the time cut down and didn't. So this year, on the 7th stage this year, when the route was first announced, or when the host towns were announced around February or something, the first, and then Carlow, stage 7 is going to be from Carlow to Naas. And I'm thinking, Carlow to fucking Naas, like, is 20 minutes in the car. So they can only be, unless they're, like, they can only be going one place, like, you know, unless we're doing laps of Naas for an hour and a half. Or the only way you can possibly string a 150k race is to go over Wicklow. So it just went through brutal hills in Wicklow. But again, we were happy enough. We did all right in the end that day. But we were sitting down in this and afterwards, like drinking your cans of Coke and eating your sandwiches, and the broom wagon arrives in then. So the broom wagon's at the back of the race. So okay, the broom wagon's in, and two lads got over, like they had to get into it because they were outside the time cut. And one of them was a really big lad from Cork. Like he must be 100 kgs, but he got around 7 stages. Another lad then come out bawling his eyes out, like, you know, because to do 7, like to do the first 6 stages and then to miss out on the 7th day and not get your medal and all that and not get a finish in time, it must be heartbreaking. Like, whatever, if you lose out on the first day, it's one thing, but if you get all the way to day 7 and have to pack it in, you must be broken hearted, because you put so much into it. Like anyone who showed up, there's no faffers there and draw it. Everyone who did it would have did a full hard winter training and then did every single race on the calendar all winter or all spring. And we had a shit winter and a shit spring, so it would have been involved hours and hours of training, the freezing cold, pissing rain, racing in the freezing cold, pissing rain, doing all this expense, everything, and then to not get a finish medal, they must be heartbroken. So
true.
Yeah.
Tell us about the training.
So the training,
because it's not the type, like the raw system. Something like I have a bike, I can cycle, but the raw system for me, like, do you know, kind of way, it's another level, I believe.
Yeah, well, it's like, to be honest, it's a funny thing because experience and like ability and just knowing, like, fitness is one thing. Obviously, you have to be fit, but you could be the fittest man there and still be a shite racer, like, you know, because you could still. Like, I'm not a great man to be in the bunch. I don't really. I can't really overcome this. Fear, I suppose, is the word. But like when I'm in the bunch with 200 other people, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, this is like anything could happen. So then, like, lads like me with that attitude, the tendency is that we tend to drift towards the back where we think it's a bit safer. But if you're at the back, you're fucked because you're miles. Like when the race lines out. And you're at the back, like, let's say the first guy goes through a roundabout at 50k an hour. The second guy has to slow down a little bit, and he's going through the 49k an hour. So by the time it gets to me, we're going 30k an hour. Your man is 500 metres at the road, so everyone's sprinting to get back on. If the further you are to the back, you're in big trouble. So anytime you find yourself near the back, you have to really just dig in deep and move up towards the front then. But so riding through it, like, being in the bunch is probably the hardest part about it in racing, like, because you're constantly, like, you know, you're at the mercy of the guy at the front of the race all the time, and because he just decides he's going to put the hammer down, then everyone has to do it, or if he surges, everyone does it. And like the race could be going, there was moments this year where we were going at 15-20k an hour down the road yapping, like, you know, having a chat, and because it was just slow, because the race leaders had decided that this is how they're going to race for the next 20 minutes. Lads getting off, going for a piss, going back to the car to get a drink, just having a chat. And then it'll pick up later. But if you get moments of that, you're laughing. But in terms, to answer your question, the training, like, it's a lot of, like, a kind of mixed. During the week, you do your, like, I have a turbo, like a stationary, put my bike on a stationary trainer in the shed. So you'd be getting up either really early in the morning or just doing it after work. Maybe 2 or 3 of those sessions a week. Some of them would be harder than others.
And how long, like, time-wise?
Hour and a half. Each session, I'd say. You don't really spend much more than that in a turbo, hour and a half. And that could be, like, you know, you'd have a little warm up, you'd have, let's say, you might do a few sprints, you might do like a few, like, you have a power meter in your bike, okay, so it'll tell you how many watts you're putting out, and then, like, you know what your max watts is, so then you can say, like, let's say you're doing 10 minutes at 90% or something of your power, so you just keep, and then then you have a few minutes to recover, and then you do another one of them, and then you could do 3 or 4 of them, few sprints, and then you're done for the day. Then, like, when the weather picks up a bit and it's getting close to the season, you'll be doing hill repeats. You'd be doing, so where I live is perfect for hill repeats because I'm right at the base of one of the most overused hills and just coming out of Dublin, like, so it's perfect location for me. If you're living in Kilberry, like, there's folk all hills around here to go to, so it'd be struggling, but it's good for that. But that would be that. And then on Saturday you go out with your mates and do like 5-6 hours, just not really high intensity. You might do 20 minutes of high intensity every 2 hours or something, just for the sake of doing something high. But in general, it's just about getting miles in, because if you show up for a race, it's going to take 5 hours, and you haven't done more than an hour and a half on the bike all winter. You'll
Yeah,
never
of
be able to do it.
course.
So even though the intensity isn't the same as what it is at the race, like, to be honest, some people swear by, like, everyone, like, in racing now, there's so many guys coaching at the moment, and so many guys with their training plans selling them off to people, and then, like, oh, it doesn't matter. Hey, like, I know you only have 3 hours a week to train, but don't worry, I'll make sure those 3 hours are the best 3 hours you can do. And, like, and they mean it, like, but it's it takes time, because I was saying to a lad at work last year, said, I don't think I could do it again. This was last year. I don't think I could do the training again. Like, how much is it? I says, like, you're talking 12 to 15 hours every week from middle of October through to May. 12 or 15 hours is nothing. Like, I said, yeah, 12 or 15 hours doesn't sound like getting, but if you go out on a 6-hour ride on a Saturday and like 3 hours on a Sunday, that's 9 hours. So you still have to find you still have to do another 6 then during the week, So
Yeah, more than an hour for the Monday to Friday, every day for
it does.
7 months.
So 12 to 15 doesn't sound like a huge amount, but when you break it down, like, it is a good bit. But like, you start off in October, then you have your plan in front of you, like, right, yes, you're stuck in, you're loving it, you're getting up early, you're full of. Then it gets to, like, the racing season will starts at the beginning of March, and this year was obviously, we're snowed out for that time, so we had to prolong it by a week. But when the racing starts, then you're like, right, what's on today? Grand, down to Enfield, first race. The wife would go, like, when are you coming? Just roughly what time are you back? I don't know. The race will only be 2 hours, so I'll be home at like X o'clock. But then, like, you have to go, like, you always give yourself an hour to get down there, and you want to be there an hour before it starts. So it starts at 11. You're leaving before 9 o'clock, and then it finishes at 1, half 1. You get changed, you go in to get a sandwich, yapping to everyone. Before you know it, you're fucking getting home at 5 o'clock after only been racing for 2 hours. You're gone the whole day.
Yeah.
And then the next day it's the same, and it's like that every single weekend. And then at Easter, it's you have a 4 day. It's kind of like a mini Ross. It's a 4 day stage race down in Kerry. So it's called Ross Moon, so Munster race, or Tour of Munster. And so that's like your whole Easter's gone, and that means Killorglin is not exactly down the road, so you have to go on Thursday evening. You're not getting back till Monday evening. It's a drain. And then the May Bank holiday, leave another one of them up in Ulster, the Tour of Ulster. And, like, you convince yourself you have to do them all. Like, a lot of people don't do it every week. Some lads might take a week off, but, like, going to do a race is so much better than actually a training session, because you can't train at the same intensity as a race. So
Of course.
when you're doing it, so that's in terms of training. And then, like, once the race starts, you could do 2 races, Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday you might have a rest day, and then Tuesday you're back in the turbo again. It's very hard to keep that motivation up. I find that after the racing starts, particularly in that Easter 4 day race, you're just done. Like, you just, like, can't train anymore. Like, just so sick of this. But then, go on, just dig in. The Ross is only another month away, and you'd be flying then. Like, everyone always says your form. Like, every cyclist tell you their form is just around the corner.
Yeah.
So this year, thankfully, I was able to compare it to last year, but that worked out well. So the first race I did last year, I got really bad cramps, and I had to pack it in after half. This year, the first race, I flew around. Grand. Last year I did shite in that. This year I'm grand, so my form was much better. And the next week it was down in Gorman Lock, the circuit around Stackallen and Slane Castle gates. And last year I flew around that. This year, 30k to go. Packed, because I was fucking struggling so badly. I said, God. And then so you're always trying to compare it to last year to judge how your training is compared to then. But yeah, you just have to go with it then. Once you get to May, they're only 2 weeks away, so what's done is done now. I have to kind of start tapering, or whatever you want to call it. You just start resting a little bit and just
that's what I was going to ask you.
just minding myself. Yeah.
Does your training change? Like, presumably it's not the same for the 7 months of October.
No, it'll ramp up a lot. Like, the way I had it this year was in 5-week blocks. So you'd have the first of those 5 weeks it would get harder and harder and harder, and then the last week you'd have a kind of an easier week, and then the next 5 weeks, a 5-week block would start, and that'd be, you'd up the intensity then, and everyone would be more intense. But it always
you're building up.
It would always build off to third week, and then it'd ease off a little bit in the fourth, and then the fifth would be much easier, and then it would start again next week. So, and that'll bring you into the racing season. But yeah, once the racing season starts, training kind of goes out the window because you can't do those big long 5-hour spins with your mates anymore because you're racing in that day, and it's yeah, it's very time consuming. Like there was a race in Portmean there around April, and I just says, oh, I couldn't be fucking arsed going today because Sunday morning, so the race starts at 1 o'clock in Portmean and it's 4 hours, so it's not over till 5. By the time I finish yapping, because I can't stop yapping after. Because you only see lads once a week, you'd be chatting to them. Then if someone got the result, you'd be waiting around for yourself just to nice one, take a picture of them, put it on the Facebook page and all that. Well done. And then like I'm doing a race in Portmean. It's over 5 o'clock. Why aren't you home until 7:30? I don't know how to answer that question. The only way I can say it is I'm just faffing about, and I make sure I'm there as I'm. After the race, I'm a div for faffing, but before it, I'm 100% focused. Everything ready the night before, every single thing in the bag. So I just literally get me breakfast, open the boot of the car, throw the bag in. I know everything's done up there because I nearly have a checklist. Yeah, all this in the bag, done, gone. So there's no faff in the morning. Get there, sign on, get me gear on, and then warm up. So that works like clockwork. It was after it. Like, yesterday I was up down in Kildare town for racing. When it was over, I got home at like maybe 5 o'clock because it wasn't the longest race ever. But and then Niamh, wife, goes like, we're sitting out in the backyard and I go, how long was the race anyway? I said I was only I not say only, but it was 105 kilometers in total. No, how long did it take? I said 2.5 hours. So you left at 9 o'clock this morning. You were back at just after 5 o'clock, and the race was 2.5 hours. Yeah, I know. What can I do? And the reason for that is, like Marcus got results, so I was waiting around to him. So just so he had someone to clap him when he went up to the thing. She goes, sorry. Thankfully, I told her I'd be home at 5 anyway. Next week is in Navan. So I'll actually pass by your gate here a couple of times now, next Sunday afternoon. So you'd be hoping for, like, after the Ross, your legs, you should have good form. Last year I went on holidays and just packed it in for a couple of weeks after, and it was the worst thing I did, whereas should have been enjoying. Like yesterday I was going well. Hopefully next Saturday it'll be the same, or next Sunday it'll be the same. I would love to get a result in Navan because most of the races earlier on in the year are much harder. They're much longer to prepare everyone for the Ross.
Yes.
And now when the Ross isn't on the horizon, no one wants to do a 150k race anymore. They want 100k, 80k races. So that's what Navan will be, 100k again next week now. So
you say that the form would be good. Like what do you measure it by? Is it your is it
watts,
or is it speed,
you can measure. I'm not
or
really into power. I use on the turbo, right, just so I'm not going too hard when I should be doing X. I don't want to be going Y. So, but I don't use the power meter on the bike outdoors. So just, you can use your heart meter, but just like, you're like just on your legs. Like I wasn't going to bother racing after, and then we have a league on Thursday nights, a summer league, just a short enough race on Thursday evenings after work. So last Thursday night I said, fuck, I'll go out and just to say hello to everyone, like, again yapping. And when I got out there I said, Jesus, didn't realise my form was this good. Like I was flying last Thursday night and it was going well, so I'll definitely do Saturday now, definitely do Sunday as well, like definitely do the following week too. And then we're going on holidays next week, so it's because after this week there's 2 or 3 weeks in a row now where I won't be around to do anything on the weekends, so it's between weddings and stags and this sort of thing and holidays, so life in other words.
Of course,
this sort of thing. But I love it, man. Like I know it's like, I love it especially this time of the year when the weather's good and you're not under pressure, you're not thinking about, because the Ross, you're stressing about the Ross from October, you're worried about what you eat, you're feeling guilty about every pint you take, every biscuit you eat, every pizza slice you have, and everything, like, and you're trying to watch your weight all the time. But now, once the Ross is done, I said, thank God I can actually start enjoying my cycling now.
Yeah, I was off season.
Yeah. So even though there's still competitions on, we're still racing most weekends, or sometimes twice a week during the week as well. It's not as stressful because you're not trying to save yourself at the Ross. You're not worrying about this fucking 8 days hanging over you. So
yeah,
I sound like it's the worst thing in the world, but it's actually the best thing. Especially when every stage finishes, you're like, cross the line, oh thank God. You go back to the car, you have a lad handing you your food, you have a lad fucking washing your clothes, you have all this sort of thing, and I just said, this is the best thing. There's those 3 or 4 hours after the race finishes before you have to start going to bed and getting your dinner and all that. That's the best, because you're just, it's the closest you have, or it's the furthest away you are from being on the bike again the next day. So it's good crack now. I love it. I'd love to, if I'm not cycling next year, because we're having a baby now in November, our first child. So if obviously going away for 7 or 8 hours on a Saturday and a Sunday is probably won't cut it down. And to be honest, I'm glad, because the time is right now. I don't really have it in me to go through another year like that, even if there wasn't a baby involved. So, but I would like to. I'll probably manage the team next year if I can. I won't drive the car myself, because driving the car is hectic as fuck. But I'll definitely love to sit in the passenger seat for next year. But we'll
And
see.
driving, it's I believe is what you call it, stressful, say, because there's so many bikes around.
Yeah,
and
there's
you
bikes.
know.
I did it a few years ago there's another stage race actually in Donegal. It's a 3-day thing, and I went up a few years ago. There's 6 or 7 lads from our club going up and said, "Listen, I'll do the team car," and so I drove the team car. Oh man, it was grueling now. Like every day you go in, oh I'm fucked. Like said, oh myself and the lad who were like, we had another lad in the passenger seat would be the mechanic, and we're like, oh, get this stage over. We go for 3 or 4 points every night. Like it'd be great crack. After the stage, you get out, not bed, scratcher, gone. Fucked.
What is it like?
It's just so stressful because, like there's a huge bunch of riders at various levels. So even like 2k out the road, there's lads getting dropped already, you know. And you're trying to drive around them, and then when the race slows down a bit, they're trying to move through the cars. So you're trying to watch the car in front of you. You have riders going, trying to come up on your left side,
Overtaking you, say.
trying to come up on your right side. Yeah, they're trying to get back on, trying to work their way up through the cars to get back into the group.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the lad behind you is panicking about you can't brake. Some, like, you know, this concept of riding the bumper, like where if let's say a rider's dropped. I've been this soldier many times now where you're dropped off the main bunch and the car drives up, you sit in his bumper, you have no draft, you're hiding down behind the back window, and you can move up at 70, 80k an hour without even breaking a sweat, and you're straight back into the bunch. It's not really, it's not. They turned the blind eye to it this year way more than last year. Last year, if you tried to do it at all, there'd be a motorbike would be up beside you waving you on. But this year, the motorbikes kept going past us and they kept saying nothing, so I was happy enough. But
and they're the stewards on
yeah.
motorbikes,
So
okay.
it'd be their job to report you, like, or tell you to come on, you can't be doing this, make sure the car moves forward. But yeah, so you had that, and it's just like if you're in the car, a rider will always jump up behind you trying to get your draft, and I said no, I don't want him in it because I'm afraid that I'm going to injure him. I don't want to try and pace him back on. A, he's not my rider. B, I don't want to kill him. Because like if I was driving up, like, it's all very else, I'll just keep going at 50k an hour. Don't worry about just don't jam on the brakes. Yeah, but what if I have to jam on the brakes? Or if I go over a bump on the road or something? And what if, you know, I don't want. So riders are constantly trying to get onto your bumper, and you don't want them anywhere near it. Like, so I found it very very stressful. Now they were much shorter stages. It was only 3 days, so to do in the Ross, I don't know how anyone does it, but lads who do it tend to absolutely love it. Like, so the lad who did it for us this year, I'd say it was his 5th or 6th year doing it in a row, and he does it loads of other races as well, like not just the Ross. So he's well clued in. He knows the crack. So he was.
You'd probably have to be a fairly competent cyclist to actually drive.
Yeah,
to
he
just
would
get what's going on around you.
He would have done several races himself actually, like, or several Rosses himself over the years. It's probably like he's 50 odd now, so the last one would have been 10-15 years ago he did it. But he was he was a savage rider in his day now, so he's no stranger to the cavalcade. But yeah, he knows what's expected. He was brilliant, but just a class driver. You put your full trust in him, because if you're riding very close to his bumper, if he jams on his brakes or has to do anything at any time, you're just going straight into the back from there and going through the window.
That's the horrible thing about cycling for me. It's the element of you can do nothing wrong and still clean yourself off.
Yeah, you'd have to put like there is a little bit of responsibility on the rider there to make sure he's keeping, like, watching. Like, you have to be able to watch through the windscreen of the car to see if there's anything coming on in front, and like if there's like the driver, if I could trust John 100% that he wasn't going to do anything stupid or make any mistakes. But some other cars would, like, if you're in trouble someday, another car might go by. He said, hop in here. He might be bringing his rider back on. But I said, don't fucking trust that driver. I'm staying away from his bumper. Like, thanks very much, all the same. But like, I'd rather finish 10 minutes down the bunch than risk riding on the bumper of a driver I don't know or trust. Just so
a driver you don't know will offer you the opportunity to draft behind him, is it?
Sometimes they mightn't necessarily offer you, but you might see a chance
to be an opportunity,
because he might be bringing one of his own riders back on. You say it'd be very easy for me just to hop in here and get back on, but if you don't, sometimes you might jump in if it's, to be honest, you get to know between this last year and this year, you get to know who the good drivers are pretty quickly, and then if you trust, plus if they're with a UK pro team bringing one of their riders back on, then they're laughing. Then you know he's obviously not he's obviously not a fool if he's coming over here to drive the car. He's obviously knows what he's at, so you'd have a go on him too.
And what's the level of Irish riding like? So when an English, like you seem to, just on what you said there, you seem to think that because it was an English team coming over, that they'd be almost like a better
that
level.
that was like by the 4th or 5th day, I said, lads, what is the story with these foreign teams? Because there's a German team there, and I said they're at nothing every day. Like, the assumption is that they're the German team, they'll be strong, but like it's only some of the teams are just like amateur teams in Germany, like ourselves coming over. Whereas there are like proper pro teams there as well, but some of them might have maybe 2 pro riders, and then to just make up the rest with lads like myself. But the assumption is always that if they're coming over from the UK, like we were in the group on the second last stage, way down on the leaders, and there's a team for English team called St. Piran, and one of their lads thought he was a great lad, stopping for a piss at the fastest part of the race. In his head he said, I'll just stop here, go for a piss and just ride straight back in. Not a chance, mate.
Left for dead.
Yeah, you went for a piss, you got back onto your bike, the race was a mile off the road, and you were never getting, and you were stuck with me for the day then. Like, you know, so it's, and like they were no better than, they were just because they were foreign lads, like, you know, it's kind of tends to be an assumption that they're brilliant just because they're foreign. But then they have teams, the Swiss team, they come over a proper national team, you know, so they would have picked the 5 top riders at that level
in the whole country,
and brought them over. Yeah, so they were a good team. But there's a team from America as well called the Jelly Bellies. They're sponsored by that jelly bean company, the Jelly Bellies, and they were over as well. And again, like, because the American team, they must be brilliant. They're hardly spending thousands to come over here just for nothing, like, you know. But again, like, it's one or two of them were really good, getting up in the front group, getting in a few placings every day. But more often than not, like, I think, especially this year, I think maybe they probably got a bit too much respect when you consider, like, they weren't, like, consider the level they were at just because they were coming over from a foreign team coming over. The assumption was they're brilliant, but it wasn't always the case.
Yeah, and of course. No, that's fair enough. But I think we tend to do that. I think it's because we're kind of a small island.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you know, like I've seen it in fighting. Lads be like, fighting a Czech guy or a Polish guy.
He's
as if that was something.
Yeah,
like,
it's
you know?
like the president of Czech Republic routed through the country and picked out the best fighter possible. It's not just a lad like you hopping on a plane out of his own pocket and heading over. Like,
exactly. We imagine these people who travel, especially, as, you know, they have a team around them, and they have a medic, and they have a fucking, you know, a dietitian, and, you know, they're just the equivalent of you without an arse in your trousers and a Ryanair flight to, you know, an airport 200 miles away from where you're performing. Like,
it's like in St. Pat's. I know. Rest his soul, Ezio. Remember when Ezio started in Pat's? This lad is Italian coming over, and first game in the AstroTurf at lunchtime. He's obviously the greatest soccer player anyone's ever seen. Like, I don't even think he kicked the ball before. So he's anyway. Lord of mercy on Ezio.
That's right, Jesus.
He was in our year in Pat's, but the excitement when an Italian came and he was going to be the greatest footballer of all time, and it wasn't to be.
I remember I was in Amsterdam a couple of years ago, and we got chatting to a group of lads, and there was great excitement that we were Irish because we were in a pub and everyone was drinking. It was all the big drinkers from Ireland, and we were like, Jesus, I'd be on my ear after 4 pints. But the disappointment in people's faces, like there's an expectation that, you know, you're from Italy, you're a great soccer player. You know, you're from Ireland, you can lorry 20
savage
pints.
Drinker.
It's
one of the. Let's talk about that Jelly Belly team there, the American team. Well, on one stage, I was on my own on the road. I was suffering badly, and it was the same day that I'm always talking about, the real bad day. But next minute, the Jelly Belly rides up beside me. Hey man, how's it going? Yeah. And I looked at him. I said, "That's my fucking bike you're on." Like, you know, he says, "Oh, is this yours?" Yeah, because he crashed his bike, and our driver, gentleman it is, just took my spare bike off the roof and gave it to me, you know.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So that's my, because I was looking at his bar tape, because I had the kind of funky bar tape on mine. And I was looking at him. She's, I like your bar. that's my fucking bike. And he go, anyway, it was just chat. We were together then for the next hour or so. So we, in the easier sections, we yap a bit, like just. And he goes, he must have asked me 7 times, like, so are you going to have like a Guinness tonight? I said, yeah, mate. Are you going to fucking shoot up a school tonight? Like,
Oh,
right, so I said that to him as well. He laughed. He said, "No, I get you. Touche. Yeah. So that's once I said that to me, he laid off the Guinness jokes. Then
yeah, put him right in his place.
Yeah. Anyway,
has Ireland got a pro team?
it has a okay. There's various levels of teams, I guess. So let's say the top one, the World Tour team, they're the ones that would be like Sky and Movistar. The teams that be featuring heavily in the Tour de France, like Chris Froome, like rise for a World Tour team. So they'd be like the top echelon. And then below that you have Continental. And then below that again, like it's kind of like like let's say the World Tour is 1.1, like, and then underneath that you have 2.1, and then underneath that you have 2.2. So 2.2 is what our race was. Okay. So the Ross is 2.2. So it's like a third tier race for pros, and it lets amateurs in as well.
Right.
There's loads of like the third tier teams can get into a lot of 2.1s as well. But Ireland have a 2.1 against the moment from Cork, Aqua Blue, and they set up last year. Last year was their first year, and they actually did really well last year because, you know, they have the World Tours, like they have the Tour de France, the Giro d'Italia, and the Vuelta a España. So there's 3 Grand Tours every year, and they got an invite to the Vuelta last year, and one of the riders actually won a stage. So it was like I think he was Austrian. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know where he's from. I don't really follow pro cycling, to be honest, but he was like, everyone is saying, oh, they're really making waves now. They're doing really well. And this year they didn't get any invites to any of the Grand Tours, so they're fuming now, and they don't know what they're going to do. So who knows? Cycling teams, unless they have huge money, they tend not to have a very big shelf life, you know. So they don't tend to last very long. Like, I know Sky have been around a good while, and a lot of teams do, but at the level just beneath that, they're constantly changing their names. Like, the team is called one thing this year, and then next year a new sponsor might come in and they're called something else, but it's fundamentally the same team. So that's like, there was On Pust as well. You might have heard, like, On Pust, Sean Kelly team. So On Pust had a team, and they would have had a lot of really promising Irish amateurs might have went to them to turn pro, you know, and over the years. And they would have lads from elsewhere in the world as well. They were, even though they're Irish, they were based primarily in Belgium and rode races in Belgium a lot. But when On Pust pulled out of cycling last year, that was the end of that team as well. So a lot of those lads went to another team that set up this year in England called Holdsworth Cycling. But again, like, at that level, it's you're pretty much, it sounds like you're a pro rider, but you're getting your expenses paid, and you get your bike paid for, your kit paid for supplied for you, but it's not a living, like, you know.
Yeah, they're not getting 100 grand.
No. I'd say if they're getting their expenses and 5 or 6 grand max a year, saying, like, it's
subsistence.
Yeah, and it's a hard slog now, because there's no, like, salary, there's no lower salary, or what's the word? There's no minimum salary requirement. Like, you know, if you go up to the next level where that Irish team are, there is a minimum salary. Now I think it might only be like 35 grand or something, but at least if you're on that team, you're getting at least that much plus all your expenses. Whereas if you're on a 2.2 team, you nearly need to have, like, a sugar daddy or something, or rich parents or something to fund you to get on it, because it's an expensive life.
And is it, like, at your level even, is it expensive? The bike and the bits and pieces?
It's expensive, yeah, because, like, I know Darren touched on as well, but you always want, it's the same in anything, like, you know, if you're a footballer, you want the boots that are slightly more expensive than the ones you have, or slightly better. You always want them. As soon as you buy one pair, you're back on the catalogue looking at the next pair that you want to buy, and everyone wants to upgrade the whole time. But even, like, just like the Ross, because we had sponsorship for the Ross, we still had to pay 400 quid each just to ride it, just to do the thing. But, like, to be honest, for 8 days on the road, it's not a huge amount. 50 euros a day, we'll say, for your food and accommodation, and the entry fees and all that. But, like, when you go down to Kerry, and for that 4-day race, you're paying, like, 4 nights B&B, entry, food every night. Like, you're spending 500-600 quid just for a weekend, just so you can finish, like, last or whatever.
I don't mean to sneer.
You're not necessarily going to compete. It's just, like, it's just something you feel, if you want to do the Ross, you have to do that as well. and then the same again May. So it all adds up. Plus then, like, you know, tires aren't cheap, chains aren't cheap, cassettes aren't cheap, wheels aren't cheap. Getting your bike, bringing it to the mechanic isn't cheap. Like, it's constantly, and you're constantly buying more gear. You're constantly buying this, that, and the other, and stuff is, yeah, like, you're never off. Like, there's a couple of websites now, you're never off them as well, and you don't even have to. You just click buy, and it automatically sends. You don't have to type in any details or anything anytime. So it's
Too
it's
easy.
like, it's like, I suppose, if, like, my sister-in-law, for example, is into photography, like, you know, and she has like the best expensive camera, but then like the next one is coming out next year, and she wants that one as well. Like,
Yeah,
you know, and
better
she's-
zoom.
Yeah,
whatever the fuck
exactly.
it
Yeah,
is.
and then like she wants, like, oh, then I have 12 lenses, but the 13th one now would really complete the collection. So I'm going to spend $2,000 on that, or whatever it costs. Like, so it's every hobby. Like, during last winter, I did a bit of running as well, just to stay fit. Like, you know, and plus just to break up the cycling. And I said, this is unbelievable. I just put on my runners, run out my garden, run out my front door, run for half an hour, and I'm done. Brilliant. But then I said, after about 3 weeks, I said, you know what, I'm actually starting to enjoy this running now. I'll just go in and buy a new pair of runners, like, you know, just. And then before I know it, I'm leaving the shop after spending like £100 on a pair of runners. And then, like, I'm running around and say, God, I'd love one of them Garmin watches, you know. And like, before you, like, I didn't buy one in the end, thank God, but they'd all like from the outside, it looks like all you need is a pair of runners to be a runner. But if I'm sure when you get into it, then you want every single thing that goes along with running as well.
Oh yeah, runners for the hot days.
Yeah,
the cold
exactly.
days,
Yeah, and
wet
all the different
days,
types of gear and all the
cross-country
yeah,
and-
yeah. It's like, it's no matter what you're into now, it all adds up. So that's yeah, it's pricey. I don't know how young lads do it now. So most of the young lads who do it, their parents are mad into it, like, you know. So they
Right, yeah.
Whereas like anything else, I suppose.
And is
If
there
you weren't spending that, you'd be spending on drink. Because they always say.
is there self into it? Does she?
No, not at all. Like, she like, it's I think you need an understanding wife.
Very much so. I wouldn't get away with fucking 16,
No,
16, 17 hours a week
I
training.
tried to like, listen. It took her a while maybe to get used to, but she was fully behind the Ross last year and fully behind this year, and he had great support in it. Like, I know it's a drag for her because, like, yesterday, for example, she's off looking at tiles for the bathroom, and meanwhile I'm fucking down in Kildare eating sandwiches and talking shite when I should be coming home, like, you know. And it's just all part of the life. But I think yeah, like, thank God she's great about it, and she always has been, like, very encouraging, and there's never really been any fights over it now. There's been a lot of like, you know, this is like the last 2 or 3 years, we know it took maybe a teething problems. Like, this is only, like I said, this is the 5th year been into it, and like the first year or two maybe, but like, I think when you're in my situation, like, you have to make sure that the time you're not cycling is spent doing something worthwhile.
Oh yeah.
'Cause, like, maybe the
absolutely.
first year I come home from a race and, like, God, I'm bollocks, just going to sit on the couch for the night when she'd want to do something. But now, like, whatever, you'd always, like, eventually you work out something that works for the 2 years. Like, so that's where we are now. So it's yeah, like, I'm sure if you asked her honestly, she'd say, please let him never cycle again. But at the same time, she appreciates the fact that I like it and that it's something I'm into. And she's like, she doesn't want to be that person who says, oh, because you have a lot of bravado, a lot of bullshit at the start of bins, like lads who don't want to come out because they're too lazy or they're out in the beer last night, always fucking blame their wives, like, you know.
Of course,
oh,
yeah,
the missus is pissed off, she won't let me out today, like, you know. And I'm saying that's complete utter bullshit, like, you know. Lads blame their wives for everything, like, you know, whereas mine has never been anything but supportive, like, you know. And if thanks if you ever do listen to this, yeah.
And come here, you only got into cycling properly, was it 5 or 6 years ago, you said?
Yeah, I moved offices about, like, I was working in town, living in Dundrum with Niall and Shane O'Brien, and it was handy then just jumping to Lewis in there 15 minutes, and then we moved offices. We moved way down to Grand Canal Dock. So I tried getting to Lewis and then walking a half an hour. This isn't going to work. So I just said, I'll get a shitty bike for commuting. So then I was like, Like, I would have always had a bike when I was young, for like living where I live. You kind of needed one, or else you'd be sitting in your house all day. So I cycled around, but it was never doing much, only like going over to the neighbour's house or just hanging around, going over to the shop for this sort of nonsense. But it was never really, certainly never racing. But yeah, I started cycling to work, and then the odd weekend I said, you know what, I might just go for a cycling out for the sake of it. So I might go out, and I said, God, this is good. And then then I got an actual road bike and started cycling all around Wicklow. I was doing it on my own, doing loads of spins. Then I said, I'm actually pretty handy at this, like it's good crack as well. And then, like around that time, you know, Colin Lydon, don't you? Yeah, so we Colin Lydon came up and we went for, parked the car in my house in Dundrum. We went for a spin down towards Enniskerry, and he had a really bad crash that day, which could have turned me off cycling. Thankfully, it didn't. Like, listen, that was a weird day because, like, I'm sure you've heard of that about the accident before.
Well, all I know, being honest, was, well, my understanding of it is he was flying, going downhill, presumably, came off the bike and hit a fucking rock or something. That's literally the limit of what I understood as.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with the area, but Enniskerry is like it's kind of at the bottom of a little hill, and the hill is about 2 kilometers long, I say, maybe, and it's twisty. Like, it's an alright surface, but it's twisty.
Yeah.
So, and there's a kind of footpath along the side of the whole way down, and then footpath metre wide, and then there's a wall about waist height,
right,
all the way down. And he was going down, and he was just a few meters in front of me, and we're just rocking down, no bother. And we shouldn't have been out cycling on a day like that. There was snow in the mountains where we were going, so we just, because we were into it. He was mad to go, and I was mad to get out. We said, "Oh fuck, just wear an extra jacket or something, would be grand."
Yeah, it'd be grand.
So there was probably a bit of ice or something in the road. Slipped, but when he slipped going as fast as he was and went head first into the wall, then after sliding down, I just had to take a second. I said, I stopped. I said, right, the cunt is dead. Fuck. And then I went over to him, and he was like, it was clear that he was still very much alive, thank God. But he wasn't in great shape now. But like, yeah, where we are, it was very trying because he was unconscious. But he had loads of people. Like, everyone stopped their car and came over to him. But it was the most. I don't know how the hell he's alive, to be honest, because it was a funny thing to. No, funny is definitely not the word. It was a really crazy thing to see, because I was so convinced there's no way any human could possibly survive anything like that, what I was just seeing. So I had to nearly brace myself to going over to it, like, you know.
Yeah.
I was so eventually, anyway, the ambulance, this is a long time ago, it's over nearly 5 years ago. Anyway, the ambulance would have came, and more 5 years. Anyway, the ambulance would have came and brought him off, and I says, "What's the story, doctor?" He said, "Oh, well, we get into hospital." So where hospital taken to Vincent's. So one lad, anyway, who was there on the road, put his bike and my bike on thing, brought me home. I went in, got my car, drove to Vincent's. And on the way, like, I rang his sister Maureen. I rang her and told her, and I said that it's actually pretty serious now, so I'd say yourself and your mum should probably get up to Vincent's as soon as you can. I'm going there now. I'll be there before you, so I'll meet you there. Ring me in the meantime if you don't hesitate and all that. So anyway, they came. As soon as I came, I said, my friend is after coming in, Colin Lydon. He's in. Oh yeah, is it the bike? Yeah, okay, just wait there for a second. And then the doctor called me in straight away, and he says, "Oh, it wasn't great or whatever." And then Maureen and Colin's mother arrive, and like, the doctor brings the three of us into this little. It's a room. It's not really. It's off the waiting room. It's like a. I don't know what you call it.
Consultation room or something.
There was just literally 3 or 4 chairs in a room that was with a door on it. And I said, Jesus, people don't get brought into these rooms unless it's really bad news. Yeah. But then thankfully he he got off very lightly, in fairness. He must be made of hard stuff, but it was yeah, man, I don't know.
What kind of speed are we talking?
He could have been going 50 or 60k an hour easily, like, you know, without even pedaling. Like,
yeah.
And like, it's very easy to lose, because he wouldn't have had a lot of experience at the time. I think he wouldn't have necessarily known the road, and it was it's probably about 2 degrees or max at the time. I'd say, and we were well down in the valley. I'd say it could have easily been ice. I have no idea what happened, but it was that was a traumatic experience.
Because the thing about being on the bike at 50 or 60 kilometers an hour, it's equivalent to jumping out the window of a car going that speed, is it? 'Cause,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. If you fall out, the thing is, like, sometimes you do more damage when you're going slower and you kind of fall over and land awkwardly. That's so you do the serious injuries. Whereas
when it's straight down, if you
yeah,
skim along the
yeah, if
ground,
you go really
almost.
fast, the impact is spread out over a long distance.
Yes,
So you
yes.
get road rash then usually, but you don't get necessarily
Road rash.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
Even the name of it.
it's not. It usually doesn't involve serious injury, but he was getting away with the road rash until he hit the wall.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know how the fuck he's alright. I still don't know.
Presumably the helmet saved his life, did it? Or
Yeah. You want to see his helmet? Like it was like it dropped an anvil on it. Like, you know, it was
Yeah.
destroyed, and that was back in the hospital as well. I think he went looking for it then after, but they fucked it out or something. So he want
be a nice
a
keepsake.
souvenir, I suppose. Yeah, of the day. But yeah, thankfully he rallied now. But he's had that was the second really traumatic, serious injury he's had in his life now. He had another one when he was maybe...
Fuck, there was a roof or something.
Yeah.
I forgot about
I'd
that.
say we're in... So you're talking 99 or 2000 or something. I remember going to see him in hospital in Beaumont at the time, and he was... It must have been 2000 because the Euro 2000 was on, and I think he was lying in bed with his 2 feet up in the air for like 6-7 weeks or something.
Jesus.
And he had a tiny little black and white TV the size of your fist trying to watch the Euros on it at the time, and it was so yeah, he's had a rough, but thankfully he came out stronger both times, I suppose.
I'll have to get him on. Do you hear
Do
that,
you?
Mr. Lydon?
Yeah, Colin, you should do it. This is good crack. Yeah, I'm liking the setup Fran has here now steady.
Because it's gas. Because Colin trained with me in Kokro for a
did he,
couple of months. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he got into the mixed martial arts there for a good while.
He'll try it in that lad.
Yeah, fucking mad, cracked. Like the rest of us, I suppose.
Yeah. You have to be cracked to do this sort of shit, don't you?
But come here, you didn't have a competitive streak in you then, or like, because to get to Ross level, it takes a certain kind of competitive edge, I think, does it?
Yeah, you always say like you're not competitive, but I think when you start going down and like I started cycling and I was doing spins like that with Colin my own, and then I kind of did it on my own. We went to the odd sportive with Darren, or some of them I did on my own as well, but I kind of got a bit fed up. It's a bit boring going the same roads on your Tobler every day. It just gets like I enjoy cycling my own even to this day, but it's I heard there's a club in the drums, so I go out with them and I've met a few lads and sort of clicked with most of them really quickly, like, because they're all into the same shit as you are, like, you know, they're all have the same
all cyclist
stuff going on in
wankers.
your mind. Yeah, exactly. So you yap away to them, and then I was delighted to join the club. But I only joined it really with the intention of having lads to cycle with on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning, whatever. And then after a couple of weeks, I realised that most of these lads race. I didn't really know what the crack was with racing at the time. And then I thought, it's the same to this day. Anytime anyone starts who's even a shred of confidence on, you need to get racing now. You should be racing. So like eventually my arm was twisted and I never looked back since. So it's just kind of, you're constantly thinking about it, constantly. Like you're always, someone says like, the good thing about cycling is that you could have 100 lads starting in a race and every single one of them thinks that when it's over, one lad has won it, the other 99 think they could have won it.
Yeah,
and that's why I said if I just had done this a little bit differently at that moment, I probably could have won that. And then that's what keeps people coming back every week. Like, you know, like myself, when I moved up through the ranks, once you get to the A1, then there's nothing. It's very hard to get a result any week. So you could be like all last season, I didn't get one result all year. And
presumably you would have been used to getting results from the
you would have been
previous
going into most A4, A3, A2. You'd be kind of going into every race expecting, or not necessarily expecting, but you wouldn't be. You'd feel if the circuit suited you, there wasn't too many big hills, and you say, I definitely should be able to get something out of this. Whereas now you're just saying, right, if you can just finish them. But then this year I've got a couple of top tens, but it's still even to get one of them, it's very hard. 'Cause the standard is so high. Like, you know, you have a lot. In addition to the pros that are coming over from the continent, you have a lot of Irish lads who might as well be pros because they don't work. They just train all the time. Like, you know, they have either they're students or they just have rich family, or they have a job that isn't really a job. You know, they might work. They might have a job that requires like very little on call or something, like, you know. There's
a lot of free time.
an awful lot of free time. So these sort of jobs, but good luck to them. Yeah, they're all trucking. Like, so one lad is able to go away to Mallorca for the whole winter and train on his own, even though he's an amateur, because he works he works in an online company, you know. So
Yes.
it doesn't really matter where he is, and that's how he does it. So it's
And what way is your work? Is your work strictly 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, or?
yeah. Well, I'd actually, to be honest, I packed in my own job because it was getting to the stage where it was like 9 until 9 till 10, 9,
Right,
like,
Jesus.
regularly enough. And just listen, the Ross come over and said, you know what, literally, I've had enough of this place. I was there 12 and a half years, and like the more I thought about it, like I kept like, this is the reason I'm going, that's the reason I'm going, this is the reason. Eventually I just decided on, listen, you know what, all these reasons just feed into one reason. I'm just here too long, I think my time is up. So I just packed it in there, and I didn't have a job to go to. I've since got one. I was starting another few weeks, but yeah, the job wasn't good for the Ross at all, especially this year. Last year was a bit better. This year was shite. Like, you know, you had 2 or 3 weeks in January there where you're finishing midnight every night, so you literally have to. It was a shite existence now. You're getting up in the morning, getting to work, go home, go straight to bed, and bullshit.
Yeah, and then when herself is in your ear, then
yeah, like again, she was
and...
supportive of that. She was kind of telling me, like, you know, this is not on, and this is like, you need to. So we had like, it was a big decision, like just quitting the job, like, you know. And
Yeah.
so obviously we would have talked through that ourselves a good bit, and I said, listen, baby on the way. I said, listen, just don't worry about everything. Just, it'll all work out. So thankfully, it's, well, fingers crossed, the new job is not any worse, but by all accounts, it's not. So fingers crossed, we'll see.
And herself, would she be worrying about you in races now that you get injured, or that, you know, there'd be a bad smash, or?
Yeah, I would assume so. I think you're more likely to have a bad smash out on a Saturday morning, which are like a car running over. Like, the driving is like, it's. We're at a situation now on the roads, especially Wicklow and Kildare, where we do most of our cycling, and me, where it's literally a real them versus us attitude from both sides, like, you know. Whereas their cars on the road won't give you an inch, they drive by you, like, give you a millimetre, and they're really aggressive towards you. It's not everyone, some of them, especially like I understand it's frustrating, but like then the riders do themselves no favours either by insisting on fucking riding 10 feet apart, like, and calling it 2 abreast. Like, if you're riding 2 abreast, you should be touching the person's elbow beside you.
Yes, not over in the other fucking lane.
Not one lad on the ditch and the other lad in the right hand lane. Yeah, so they don't do it. And then, like, anytime someone beeps at them, it's straight away, oh, fuck off, fucking driver, wanker, and like, and all this, and it's just come on, lads, you're over the middle of the road. Obviously, he's going to be pissed off. Just so, yeah, I think it's like it's getting to be a bit of a problem there, because there's a lot of riders, cyclists out doing leisure spins on a Saturday morning or something, have been hit and killed in the last 2 years. Like, so it's last year we had an awful lot of deaths on the road. So yeah, I don't know what's going to be done about it, but you do get a lot of shit. But I think that's when you're most at risk as well, especially if you're out on your own on a Saturday morning or something, and there's a lot of drivers out. But yeah, I guess you would be worried, I suppose. Thankfully, I've done about. I have no idea how many races I've done. 5, probably close on 200 races, I'd say, and I've crashed twice, I think.
Right.
They were both like in the second year, and they were both. I think I got a bit of road rash on my elbow. One of them.
Not so bad.
The other one, I didn't get anything on it.
And is there an element of losing your nerve when you do come off the bike, especially if you're in the pack? Like, you don't like the being kind of in the pack with everybody else.
Yeah.
I kind of get that, I think, even though I've never been in one. But presumably when you're going down hills, especially, or around tight bends, you have to have a fucking nerve about you.
You have to nerve, yeah. Like, it's I think in something like the Ross, or at the level of racing I'm at now, most lads are beyond confident with their bike handling skills and their ability to ride in the bunch, and so you can a lot of trust. But I'd say, like, at the lower levels, like, I wouldn't trust anyone there, like, because like, I think the lower levels get a bit of a hard time as well, because there's crashes at every level. But I think when the experience of racers around you is not as high, going around a corner, they might tend to brake a bit more, they might tend to just lean in a bit more, they just mightn't be as confident. Whereas in our races, you have to be uber confident, or else you're going to get fucked over by that. Like, if you're like, you have to hold your line, whereas some races, see lads and they're riding all over the road trying to balance themselves, and usually though, when you get to, if you can get up move up through the ranks quickly enough, you're usually pretty competent when you get to that stage. So it's much safer. I feel much safer, like especially in the Ross where everyone is really good and really
At a high level, yeah.
At a really high level, yeah. So it's I don't think there's any, like, I don't really like riding the bunch, but it's just you know, it has to be done. But yeah, I wouldn't like to drop a inexperienced lad into that bunch there. It'd be like a bomb going off inside it, I'd say, because he just wouldn't know how to corner. He wouldn't know how to, like you said, descend either. So it's long descents, long twisty descents in a bunch is very nerve wracking. But you have to just assume that it's like riding the bumper of the car. Just put fate into the other lads that they're not going to crash into you. Like, you know, just hope for the best. But it's the same when you go out on the road. Well, it's not really the same, but it's similar to when you go out on the road. Like you're saying earlier, you could do everything right, and like you're driving down the road, careful as anything, and the next one a lorry plows into you, like, because he's on the wrong side of the road. Like, it's not like you're at the mercy of everyone else all the time. It's
of course.
It's the same in the bunch. So
it's funny though, because there's parallels there with even in martial arts and sparring. I feel a hell of a lot safer against an experienced sparring with an experienced fighter than a lad who's just, you know, kind of just started. The lad who's just kind of just started, he'll fucking knock you out, like, do you know, like, anyway, because you know, you won't be expecting something.
There's none of the nuances that you need, I suppose.
Exactly. You're tipping along, going, okay, let's see what he has, and in his head, like so in your mind, you're like, okay, yeah, moving around, everything's going grand, and in his head, it's like, you're like, anyway,
wired up, trying to impress maybe a bit as well. Like,
a part of it maybe as well. Sure, I remember myself even when I started. You're kind of, you don't want to look stupid, and you
absolutely mad to bait the head off
in a way, but then knowing the limitations of yourself as well, like, and knowing how good the other lads are, like, it's weird.
Yeah.
But is there much, because cycling, you can't really talk about cycling, even though I don't think this came up with Graham or
Dazzler
or Darren. Drugs. Is there much or any, what is it, cyclists are mad into, EPO? Or
it's, I've never been offered any.
More's the pity. I believe it's very expensive.
I hear it's pretty good though. I hear the effects are almost instant. Yeah, you hear the odd rumour about a lad, especially if he's a lad down, like, in Leinster, there's a Munster lad doing really well. Like, there's always, I say every rider who's been really good in the amateur level over the years, there's always been a little bit of, yeah, he definitely is. But like, it's just I don't know. It could be. Maybe he's absolutely off his rocker every single Sunday afternoon, killing us all. But I don't know. I think if everyone on the roster is on drugs except me, I'd be very fucking pissed off. So I'd be surprised if there was too many of them. Then again, I wouldn't be surprised if they were taking drugs, they'd more than likely be at a higher level than they're at now. So
I know what you mean. Yeah,
so
yeah.
If they were taking drugs and they were still only good enough to finish 50th in the Ross, I'd say you need to get a new supplier, mate. Like, you know, so it's.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
so
yeah.
Who knows? But I'd be. I don't know. It's not something that's come across me. Every cyclist says the same thing. Like, you know, they're all. Every World Tour rider, and you see them in the press conference, they're all saying what I'm saying now. I've never seen drugs. I don't believe it's a problem in cycling. I know. As soon as I'm saying it, all I'm thinking, geez, I sound like all these dickheads now. I tell you, like, saying the same thing every week. But yeah, I don't know. I just assume everyone in the World Tour is doping, but they're getting away with it. So good luck to them.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And come here, if you're finishing up with the Ross next year, you'll still... Oh, no, this year was your last year at the Ross, you reckon?
I hope. I'd say so, yeah.
You'll definitely do next year.
Never say
never.
Never say never.
But if you weren't, for argument's sake, to do it, you'll keep bracing on the kind of more local circuit, will you? Or...
Yeah, you see, to be honest, you still have to train probably as hard just to keep up on the Sunday races as I've been doing all year. So it's just you wouldn't feel obliged to go to every single one of them. Like, oh, there's a race in wherever, Killarney tomorrow, I have to go down to it. There's a race in Dungarvan, I have to go down to it. There's a race in Kilkenny, I have to go down to it. So if maybe next year I might train good bit during the winter and just do local race like the likes of Navan. Like, there's, to be honest, more often than not, you don't have to go too far. Like, I listed Gorman Lock, Bourmeen, Navan several times, Kilmessan. You're not, but there are other ones then down the country now. When there's nothing on Leinster, you might need to go down to whatever.
Yeah.
Cork or something to do, but in general, you don't have to travel that far.
And you were saying that you're not a fan of the climbing, so is it? I mightn't have this right. Time trial, is that like a flat race, or what's time trial?
Time trial is just you get onto your bike and you have an hour or you have a a set distance to do, and everyone goes off on their own time, and they have
Okay.
so they come
And
back. He'll come back. Let's say there's 40k, and you come back. Oh, my time is 55 minutes, and he got 53, so he wins. You know, so
right. And what have you? Would you do that, or have you done it?
I did it a couple of years ago. I actually bought a time trial bike as well, and but sure, like, there's very few events on. I know, like, a lot of lads use the TT bikes for triathlons as well, but I have no interest in that. And you go down and do, like, I'd find a 10-mile TT and just do it, like, with up to Cavan with the TT bike, and did it. But I don't know. It's not as it's grand, but you have a bike that's costing you 2 or 3 grand, and it's getting used 5 times a year. It's not. So I flogged it then pretty quickly. I used it for. Did about 8 or 9 races on it, or 8 or 9 TTs on it, and then the next year, as soon as I found someone who wanted to buy it, I couldn't get rid of it quickly enough, you know.
Yeah, just as you mentioned triathlon there, age-wise, you wouldn't be. I wouldn't even think you'd be close to peaking in triathlon.
Yeah, I can't swim for starters, and I don't really like running, so
You're not prime.
It's not. I think there's
material.
better candidates out there to take up triathlon than me. But I like, when I was enjoying a bit of running there before Christmas, I said, I never know, now after all, I might do a duathlon too. But then, as soon as I stopped running, I completely forgot I ever ran again. Like, you know, I just never even thought about it since. I just did. I had a training plan for the winter, and that involved like 5 or 6 weeks of running just to break the monotony. I've always been on the indoor bike, so I did that, and I said, "Oh, I'm really loving it." And then he goes, "Right, no more. Be back on the bike full time now." Okay,
yes,
fair enough. So that was it.
And is there much weight training for the bike, or is it all
I did a
on
good
the
bit of
bike?
gym last year. I actually didn't do any this year because I absolutely couldn't stand going to the gym. So you try to do your strength work on the bike, then, you know, just standing up, riding a really, really hard gear, just grind as hard as you could for 10 minutes, just like get strength in your legs that way. Like, I just said I couldn't face the gym again. Like, it was so boring, so annoying, so just so awkward for me to get to where I was with work and where I live at the time. I just could never get to it. So I said, don't want to do the gym this year. Give me something in lieu of the gym. So that's what I got.
And what about like your diet or your
wouldn't be
weight even?
I wouldn't be a great man for the diet now, I have to say. My diet wouldn't be the greatest in the world. But just try to keep the portions down. Try not to buy. I'm a devil for chocolate, man. I can't stop eating
Sweet
bars.
tooth.
I guess it's just that was my weakness now, because I wouldn't, like, not drinking for 6 months wouldn't be a problem for me. Well, 6 months maybe, but like, not drinking for a prolonged period of time, I wouldn't miss it at all. Like, you know, like, some lads, I can't wait for beer. And I'm like, oh yeah, me too. Couldn't give a shit about beer, like, you know. So once I live, like, so I was giving off that. Wouldn't, like, a lot of lads suffer with weight for that. That was never a problem for me. I do eat, just like, I remember there, I was getting close to the race season, maybe middle of February or something, and I said to my wife, I said, I'm at to weigh myself again. I'm exactly the same way I was 2 fucking months ago, before Christmas or around Christmas time. And I said, I've done so much training since then, so much this. I said, how the hell have I not lost weight? It's because you're eating 17 fucking packets of biscuits a day now. I think that's your problem. All right, yeah. So
I'm no dietitian, but
I laid off the biscuits then for a while and started eating a bit better, and lo and behold, the weight started falling off then overnight, like, so.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know.
And would you
never thought eating 10 packets of digestives a week was a problem.
And would you have a race weight? Do you know that kind of way?
Yeah, it's probably like, for the Easter weekend, I was probably down to about 75 kgs, and I thought, this is great now, but I felt like shy all weekend, and I put it down to the cold, but then I was starving all the time as well. And the week after that race, I was literally eating a pizza every night, and then the following week I felt great again. I said, all right, so
you're full of energy.
Try to keep it 77 is probably the perfect way, but usually when I'm not training, it's usually about 82 is what it goes up to. So
yeah,
but I'm not, like I said, I don't really monitor it that much. I weighed myself the morning to Ross just to see what it was, and it was like 76.9. But then you're eating so much and drinking so much during the week. I'd say we all put on 2 or 3 kgs during the week just from force feeding. Yeah, you're constantly, every morning you're going in for breakfast, forcing another bowl of porridge into you. You don't want it. Scrambled eggs and toast.
You just need it for the energy.
Like, you'd put a spoon of porridge into your mouth and it could be a minute later before you swallow it. Like you're just
Yeah.
forcing yourself to do it. And it's like that every morning. It's a pain in the hole, but well, it's only for 8 days.
And are you luring the gels into you when you're on the bike?
Yeah, I wouldn't be a great man for the gels now. I do. You would have a good. You have nuts. You have to have them. Like you're screwed because if you bunk, that's you gone. So I have about like 10 fig rolls stuffed into my arse or my back pocket. About 5 or 6 gels as well. I might take 3 gels on a really long race, and then the fig rolls, then just lowering the water into you then as well. Like so, it's yeah, you have to remember. Like sometimes I forget. So I don't feel thirsty, don't feel hungry, and then before you know it, you've gone too far. So you have to just keep milling it into you, like whether you want it or not. So.
And is the onus on you to kind of monitor that, or have you?
Yeah, usually my rule of thumb is if I see another lad taking a gel and I haven't had one in half an hour, I'll just take one as well. Like,
Right.
Yeah. So usually you look down and say, right, after 30k, just have your first one, and you look down and you've done 60k. Oh shit! So you better get 2 into it. Like, So, yeah, I did forget. Like I forget to do it a lot now, to be honest. But it's I don't think that was. I think not eating enough definitely wasn't my problem anyway. This Ross. So,
yeah.
That wasn't the issue at all.
And what was I going to say? Can you see yourself getting into something else if you can't be like? I don't know. There must be a competitive streak in you to get to that level in the first place. And
Yeah, there's just competitive streak, but like I think there was a competitive streak until I got to this level, and then it was very frustrating for a while because it was so hard to do anything except get dropped, and then you kind of lose it. But then you eventually just get the you eventually approach the race in a different way. Just enjoy it today, like and just stay in the bunch. And maybe if an opportunity presents itself, try and take it. If you're trying to get into a break, just take it, just see what happens. And then you don't be too disappointed. Then as long as you do something in the race, you don't just sit at the back for the whole day and go home happy as Larry.
Yeah,
so that was the way for a while. But then eventually, like I said, if you're 1 week you're going into a race hoping to win it, the next week you're going into a race the same distance, but your key goal is to finish it. It takes a bit of getting used to them. The competitive edge has to go away, and you have to not go away, but I think you have to just the perspective changes. What you want, your expectations have to lower a little bit. But then the more you do, they start building up again now. So it's the competitive edge is there, but I don't think it's defined. I think some lads, if they get to this level, they race, they don't get any results, and then they just fuck, this isn't for me anymore, and then they wait a year or two, and then you can get back down to level and start again, and they're winning again, and they get up to the level.
Oh yeah, I never really thought of it like that. Could you see yourself looking to podium in the category below you or whatever way it works?
Oh yeah, you'd hope, but you can't get into that category below you if you're it's an ordeal to get into it.
To go down, say.
Yeah, you can't go down mid-season. You'd have to wait till you're if I wanted to move down to A2 now, for example, I'd have to wait until this season's up, and then the licenses for next year are being issued, and I'd have to write to Cycling Ireland and say, listen, my wife had a baby, wasn't able to train all winter, please give me the A2 license, I swear I'm shy.
And I didn't even realise you needed a license to race.
Oh yeah, you have to buy a license, so everyone you have a license based on what category you're in, and then when I'm applying for my license, I have to get an A1. If I want an A2, I have to, like I said, plead my case to the grading officer at Cycling Ireland, and he'll determine then based on what he knows about me and what he doesn't, or what he can find out.
And do you get a unique number then that you use in all races?
Yeah. So I'm number 31, for example, this year now. So I just have 31 as my number, comes in the post. You have that pinned onto the back of your jersey then every week.
But for all your races?
Yeah, except stage race. Stage race are different because you'll have a unique, the Ross had a different number, for the Ross number. It was the same every day, but it was a special Ross number. Then the other weekends you're just using your own numbers, so you have to look after them for the year yourself.
Right, okay. And how long are the races again during Ross? How long does
every Ross stage is about 150k, I'd say.
And what, time wise, how long does that take us?
Depending if I know they're not being smart, but a hilly race in Wicklow or Cork that could take 4.5 hours. Flat race in Drogheda to Athlone, for example, taking just you're talking 46, 7k an hour, so just over 3 hours, I'd say, to do the 150k there. So it's I know it seems a smart thing, but depends on whether it's flat or hilly. Flat race, on a Sunday, a flat race, you're probably doing 42, 3k an hour. Ross flat race is 46, 7k an hour, so it's whatever that works out with then time wise. Like, you know, you're not really. And you never really concern yourself too much with how long it took. You know, just looking at the miles, counting them down. 10 to go, 5 to go, 3 to go, 2 to go. Thank fuck, 1 to go. Please just get it over. Whew.
And can you explain to me this, that you lost me a bit because you said at one point there that, you know, depending on the stage and depending on the time of the race, you could be, you know, chatting to the lad beside you.
Yeah. Okay. So what happens is, like, let's say this year you had a really strong Swiss team, and the stage one, a Swiss guy, one of their riders won the stage, and he finished 11 seconds ahead of the second man. So therefore, he wore the yellow jersey going into stage 2. He was the race leader, and then he kept it all. He had a really strong team behind him, so he's the race leader. If, let's say, a lad 10 seconds behind him puts in a big attack in the race, okay, he'll have to follow him or get his team to chase him down, so he doesn't. So he finishes. All he wants to do is finish in the same time as the lads behind him every week, and he's grand. But if a lad goes up, like, let's say I went up the road, I put in a big attack and got 2 or 3 lads with me, and
you go hell for leather from the front to the front.
Yeah, we got up the road, so we were like, he looked at me and he says, I know that Quinn lad is a savage rider, but I don't see him being a huge threat to my yellow jersey, so I won't bother following him. And there's no, like, he'll know from looking at the numbers in the group that there's no one in there that's a threat to his jersey. So the Swiss team might let, like, there might be 10 lads up the road, for example, in a break, and there could be 3 minutes up the road, but there's no one in that group that's a threat to him, his yellow jersey. Like, there's only some lads like me, some other lads looking for a stage win.
Sorry, but if somebody goes, so I'm in the yellow jersey, I'm number 1 spot, and a couple of lads go flying past me, hell for leather.
Yeah.
I'm looking at them and I'm saying to myself, those lads aren't going to be able to keep that up to the finish line, is it?
Those lads, like, everyone in that group can afford to finish 5 minutes ahead of me, and I still wear the yellow jersey tomorrow because they finished so far behind me yesterday. So then he doesn't care. If he finishes 5 minutes behind them lads, he doesn't care. But he knows his team is strong enough that when it gets to the lad, like the Swiss team, they'll ride at the front then, and you get the break is 3 minutes ahead, 4 minutes ahead, and he's happy enough because there's no one in there to threat to him. And then, like, at the last 20 or 30k, he might go to his team, all right, bring them back now, so they'll ride uber hard at the front, and everyone will have to chase them, so then they'll catch the break
right
at the finish line, and everyone gets the same time, so he's happy.
And so it's a team effort as well.
So when you're asking about the speed, when that break is up the road, everyone in the peloton, everyone in the bunch is happy to just let them lads up the road, because it's like there might be several teams represented in that bunch, so no one's going to chase them. So then we're all just sitting there, like, there's nothing to be gained by anyone for chasing the break at that point, because everyone is happy once the yellow jersey and the other top riders decide that it's okay for the break to be away because there's no one in it that's a threat to them. Then they just leave it go, and no one's going to ride that hard. No one's interested in chasing them. So then it just drops down really slowly, and everyone's taking a breather, like, oh, thank God. And you're up the front yapping because. But then obviously, if the break goes out to 7 minutes, you go, all right, shit, I can't really afford to let it go down. So then the pace will ramp up drastically, and it'll bring it back down to 2 or 3 minutes, and then you'll catch them because A, they can't ride that pace forever. B, the chasing peloton is much stronger than they are, like, you know, so you'll catch them. So that's why it slows down.
Right. And on the,
you see it in the Tour de France as well, like, you know, they let every day, like, the race will start and a break will form. There'll be 6 or 7 lads up the road, like, and the times on the TV, they're 11 minutes up the road, and Team Sky are sitting in the peloton. They don't give a shit because there's not one person up there that they care about. They don't care if Froome finishes 20 minutes behind anyone up in the group, because it's no concern of theirs. Like, they just need to make sure that, let's say the lad who's 10 seconds behind him, the lad who's in second place overall is not up there, and then they're screwed, because that's how it works. So.
Yeah.
So they're only concerned about him. They're not concerned about a lad like me.
And how do the teams work? Like, do you aggregate your times, or do you all have to cross at the same time?
Oh yeah, well, like, there's a team prize as well. Like, so I think they take the top 3 riders from each team and add their times together, and then that's how they calculate that. So
sorry, your team's time is the top 3 riders out of the 5.
Top 3 out of 5, yeah. Okay,
but you're all doing it individually as well as.
Yeah. Everyone's like if you're looking to go into a race, looking to get something out of it, like looking for a result of some sort, then you might, like, even the amateur teams, county teams will try and work as a team, try and do something, like, you know, if they have a good sprinter, they might try and give one of their lads a lead out, like you see in the Pro Tour. But in general, for us, most of our we weren't strong enough to really ride as a team. You know, most of our like I said before, our ambition was just to get through the race unscathed and to finish it. Like, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Whereas like if we had to work as a team, we would. But it's at our level, it's all of us, each man for themselves, kind of trying to survive. You know, everyone's riding their own race. So I know you're wearing the same jersey, but you're more concerned about yourself than the other team members.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
As bad as that sounds, yeah.
So you're tipping along, depending on, I suppose, where the yellow jersey is. They're dictating.
They dictate the pace of the race,
basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
it's up to his team then to dictate it as well. So they rode at the front for the whole week. Then when they got to Skerries, when you come into Skerries on the last day, you do 3 laps of a kind of circuit around Skerries. And the last lap, at the bell, there's like 14 kilometres to go. They some lad attacked the yellow jersey up the hill and they didn't go with him, and he lost the yellow jersey by a second after holding it for the whole week.
no way.
Yeah, man, but I think he might have started the day 17 seconds down on him, and he finished 18 seconds ahead of him on the day and won the stage. Yeah,
By the second.
won the race overall by a second. Yeah, so it was gas because your man, the Swiss were just so strong all week, and they just did all the racing. Your man just snuck it from them at the end, like, you know.
They just became complacent, was it? Real hair and
I think it was just like you see, he would have been getting attacks from all over the place all day that day. Like, it would have been everyone
gunning
like,
for him.
it's the last time, so
Yeah.
so everyone was attacking him. Like, one team would attack him and they'd chase him down, and okay, it's grand. And another team would attack him, they'd have to chase him down, and then eventually, like in the 5th or 6th go, they just weren't strong enough to chase him anymore. So
Right.
that was it.
So presumably there was a bit of a chase happening when you got yourself into a bit of a Twitter storm. We can't talk about the Ross without you explaining what happened there.
Yeah, that was actually last year. Now, what happened there was it's gas because like it's all anyone thought about for a while, or all I could think about. And that's not all anyone thought about. That's far from the truth, but it was so when the break, as I said there, when the break goes up the road, okay, when 3 or 4 riders get away from the peloton and they have a gap in the road, they're obviously trying to go for the win. So in these situations, what happens is a car can let's say I attack and I'm up the road. I have 2-minute gap on everyone else. My car has to drive up then to service me
And overtake the peloton.
So he has to overtake the peloton, go by it all, and then so he's behind me in case I need anything off him.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is, and that's fine. But like there was, let's say, it wasn't even the width of this room we're in here now. We're on a real shitty road. I'd say, judging by where we were that day, I'd say it was either Mayo or Sligo or somewhere. Okay, I was early enough in the stage, and a lad there's a break up the road, as I go, like usually the break up the road, thank God, just let them away so we can slow it down a bit here. Next thing, the road is like literally this wide. We're on the limit already. I think we're either just cresting a hill or coming close to it or something. And, like, I was struggling badly to stay with the bunch, and I was trying to hold my position. But I was on the very right of the peloton. The cars are beeping the horn to get by you. But I'm saying, like, mate, in my head, I'm just thinking, you're going to have to wait. And he's there fucking beeping it. And then the man's shouting, get out of the fucking way, get out of the way. And I'm like, anyway, listen, it all happened so quickly that who said what is, whatever. I was shouting to him, I can't fucking move, just blah, 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 blah. He kept beeping. I said, stop beeping your fucking horn. Like I said, because like I was up here, like I was halfway up the peloton. If I wanted to tuck in, I would have had to come back. And then before I knew it, I'm at the back. And I said, I've worked so hard to get this position. I'm not.
Yeah, you're not just giving it up.
Driver. Yeah. And even though, like, you probably should get out of the way, to be honest.
Yeah, but
the road,
he's not even in the fucking race. So
to be honest, if I don't know why the commissar let him up at that time anyway, because he was it was the road, like I said, it wasn't even as wide as this, and there's 200 riders on it, or 170 odd riders on it. Anyway, he eventually got over. He called me. I said some things I shouldn't have. He said some things he definitely shouldn't have, and eventually he drove off. But yeah, I shouldn't laugh. It's bad. But when I got back, I ended up having an all right day that day. It was into Bundoran, I think, and so I had my finished the race, had a bit of food, went into the hotel, and it's usually only around this time you'd get your phone, like you'd get your bag back. The bag was in the hotel room. Took out the phone, and there's like a load of messages, and I said, "This is even this is a bit odd, like, you know. And what happened was, your man driving the car said, I just got called an English cunt today by rider 122 in Unpost Ross. And
ratted you out to Twitter.
Hashtag racist. Now,
yes!
now this man this isn't like me tweeting this. This is, now, he's not exactly Bradley Wiggins, but he's relatively famous at his level. His brother rides for Team Sky.
This is the lad driving the car.
Yeah, his brother. He's only. I found out like the next day or later that day. He's only like 22 or 3. But he his brother rides for Team Sky. He's a pretty like a big enough coach in the UK. So he's like maybe 2,000 followers on Twitter, for example, right? And someone wrote back straight away, oh, that would be James Quinn from at St. Tiernan Cycling Club. And then we had a lad doing the PR for us, and he texted me, James, I know you're probably busy and tired and all that, but just so you know, there's something going on here. I says, oh no. And I went out to Justin then. Justin was our manager last year, and I said, Justin, this has happened. He was like saying, right, let's sort it out. So like, most teams would be staying in the town. We just so I said, let's walk up and down the road to the hotels, or drive up and down the road. So we drove up the road a couple of times, didn't see his car in here. His car would be very easy to spot, given because like the team he was on is like winning the race, and it was a big team.
You going to puncture his tires, eh?
You can. No, I was going to go up and have a chat with him, like, you know. And anyway, we couldn't find where he's parked. I says, listen, I have his number here is on his website, like he is like his website. So I rang him and there's no answer. So I texted him and I said, I am rider 122. Give me a shout if you can. And I was waiting there, and like meanwhile, every fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry, who had no interest in this in any way, was tweeting, "Oh, that's disgraceful. I can't believe that." Hashtag, like, everyone's saying racist, and he goes, "You should have told him your man is from the Isle of Man, actually, so he's not technically English, but he's that was a big funny thing as well. Oh, I'm from the Isle of Man, and I'm welcome to Ireland. I'm really sorry that some racists like to treat you this way." Blah, blah, blah. I was just, oh, fucking come on. Anyway, your man rang me, and eventually he said, "Hey, it's Tim." So I was chatting to him. I said, "Listen, mate, I'm rider 122. I'd hoped to apologise. I'd hoped to get to you before this happened, or I'd hoped to get to you before you opened a can of worms. Because I was thinking about all race that I was meant to say to you afterwards, like, you know." And to be honest, a lot of things, I've had to go up to lads after many races and say, listen, shouldn't have said what I said, because like, in the heat of the moment, people say a lot of things. People say it to me as well, and if they come up, listen, James, I know I shouldn't have. I said, don't mention it, lads. Like, it's what happens on the road stays the road kind of thing. Obviously, yeah. But I was explaining to him, I said, listen, mate, I'm an amateur. I don't really know what's going on in this. I phrased it kind of dumbed it down a little bit. I said, this is my first time doing it. I'm not really aware of the etiquette and all that, and I don't know what's going on. I was really stressed out at that moment, and I just kept beeping. I was like, what's going on? Like, I didn't even know there was a break up the road. I said, what's going on? And then he said, like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. To be honest, he like, the managers would have went to a meeting after the race, and he got a fine for dangerous driving for that moment. Okay,
hilarious.
So he goes, the commissar hands him like a 200 Swiss, all the fines are in Swiss francs, so he hands him a 200 Swiss franc fine, and he goes, but rider 122 called me an English cunt, what are you going to do about him? And the commissar goes, nothing. And so he said, I was just so livid then that I just said I'd tweet so everyone knew.
Right.
I said, you're putting me in an awful position.
You English cunt.
I said, you're putting me in an awful position here, like, you know. I said, blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, don't worry about it, mate. It's done now. You've apologised, and I accept your apology. So, listen, best of luck for the rest of the race. All right, see you later. Any chance you'd pull down the tweet, you know? No, mate, don't worry about it. The tweet's up there. The tweet's, I'll clear it. I'll put another one out now saying you've apologised. I said, yeah, that's grand, but will you delete the fucking other tweet, will you? And then he kind of said, no. I said, then I was conscious of the fact that he'd just say, oh, you're only apologising, so I'll delete it. So I just let it be, and the tweet stayed up. But he put out another one then. Oh, calm down, everyone, calm down. I've just spoken to the rider and the club, and he's fully apologised, so all is good. And then people like wouldn't have seen that, but they kept on responding to the other one all week. Right? And I was like, this is the worst fucking thing ever. But then Justo goes, listen, James, he is English and he was being a cunt. So fair enough. We can't.
And being English isn't a race.
So yeah, I know that's
what
racist. That's what like I said. Technically it's xenophobia. So, but anyway, that was. But all night then I felt shite, and then there's these two lads who are actually riding the Ross last year. They have they're a coaching company, but they also do like a show, you know, and they're good crack, like, you know, they'll talk about just what's going on in cycling and add a bit of colour to it, like just two lads, kind of like ourselves here, just having a chat, except we were both mad into cycling. They're coach, they have a big following as well. They brought it up that night in their podcast as well. Because I remember Darren was down for breakfast the next morning feeling like about 2 inches tall. Is everyone looking at me? Everyone in this room fucking thinks I'm a racist. Everyone thinks I'm an absolute racist bastard. And that was kind of and then that was going into the fourth day. It was the hardest day, so you're already worrying about this shit. And then you have the big hard day in front of you. But, like, I just wanted the fucking ground to open me up. Or open up and swallow me up. Anyway, I went down to the... you have to sign on every morning, so I just went down to the sign on. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Everyone was saying, oh, James, I said, fuck off. Down to the sign on here. And just when I got there, I just had this overwhelming feeling that something was going to be there. And lo and behold, I go to sign on, and there someone was wrote Dublin cunt under my name. So I just snapped the picture of anywhere. I was like, oh my God. And then someone goes to me, by the way, I know you're a Meath cunt, you're not a Dublin cunt. So that was it. And then like I said, oh God, this is like the worst thing ever. I don't know why I took it so far. Like it's not like, oh, you're called a race on Twitter, but you're like, who gives a shit really? Like, you know, but I just took it very personally. I suppose I was probably entitled to take it personally, but like, I know you shouldn't say it, but if you had heard what he said to me now, it was no better. So Craggy Island, sheep shagging wanker and all this sort of stuff. Like, I said, alright, fuck you English cunt.
And he called you a fucking
racist. He called me
Everton.
Everton was going back and forth at that, and he was giving more than as good as he got. And when the road cleared, he was still abusing me instead of just driving on. So anyway, that's how it went down. But then someone else rode up to me later in the race that day and just give me a little elbow, you Dublin cunt. I said, you don't... And he's only messing. And that really broke the ice on me. I said, like, alright, yeah.
Relax.
I said, you know what happened? Yeah, I heard what happened. Yeah, don't worry about it. Like I said, like, it's great that the fucking pros come over here every year trying to bully the amateurs, thinking they're great lads. So it's fine. It's everyone, all the county riders think it's hilarious that someone fucking stood up to them and all this, and someone just didn't take their shit. Yeah. So then I was saying to another lad that night, I said, oh, it's a Dublin cunt thing. He said, listen, the fact that Dublin cunt is written thing, if you go down tomorrow morning and there's nothing written there, then you know it's blown over. Yeah. So down stage 5, looked at the thing, James Quinn, nothing underneath it. I guess that's that. So, but then for like every time you talk to someone afterwards, and like, and what's it like to be a racist? Yeah. Fuck
and
off.
have you committed to racism full time?
Yeah, I actually did. Subsequently committed to. I bet there 3 months ago I committed full time now, so I'm a card carrying racist now. I got me license and everything, so I'm good to go. So just no, I'm not. But yeah, that was a bit of crack last year. There was no controversy at all this year now, so it was.
More's the pity.
Yeah, I know. We were worried about.
Race war.
Yeah, Racegate. There was see, we had sponsors and all that to kind of. We got a sponsor on last year to give us a few bob to do the Ross, because like, it's expensive to put a team on the road.
I hope it wasn't an English company.
No, thankfully it wasn't. But and like I kind of, it only dawned on me much later that night. Like, our mechanic last year was English, but he was a good friend of mine. I never even.
It was only you never entered your head.
Yeah, it was
because you're not a fucking racist.
It was only like 10 o'clock that night. We were just finishing dinner, hanging around. I was there, and the penny dropped. Said, Lawrence, I can't believe it. You are an English cunt. And like, I can't believe I didn't even think of that. But he didn't give a shit. Like, so it was good. It was good crack. But like the whole thing, like racing, everyone it's the same every time anyone says anything, isn't it? Like these days,
it's just outrage culture.
Everyone had an opinion straight away, and it didn't matter that I'd apologise. They weren't interested in that. They just everyone lying enough to express how outraged they were by this fucking thing that hadn't a clue what was going around. But it's like it's the outrage culture.
It's a hobby.
Yeah, it's a hobby.
It is. It's a hobby for people. Like.
Yeah, and it's grand when you're on the receiving end of it, or when you're not on the receiving end of it. Then you're looking at it and say, like, how the fuck are you that thick to not know that what racism is, like, you know? And it's just I know. I heard you talking about racism before, and you're saying that like everyone is probably a little bit racist, and you're probably right, because it's very hard to look at a person of color and not have it in your head that they're a person of color, and then you're thinking, God, does the fact that I noticed that, or the fact that resonate with me, does that make me racist? No, it doesn't. It's just it's just a thought. But like the people out there who just assume that does make you racist, and that's, I don't know, man. The world is a funny place now, isn't it? Because everyone has an opinion, everyone has a keyboard. Now, I love being on Twitter. I love all this. I do like social media, but if you ever go to the comments section, like, you know, like if someone does a tweet and you can see there's like 6,000 comments underneath it, you can be guaranteed that 5,500 of them are just absolute abuse for no reason, only that you're a sad little fucker in your parents' basement, like nothing else.
Look, the comment section on Twitter it's where the intellect goes to die.
It's even worse, like, you know. It's they've already died and they're going there for something else, like just to be stamped into the ground fully. I think that's the.
I'd often wonder though, has Twitter and social media, they've hardly created that, or was that, presumably that was always there, and it's just shone a light on it. Like.
Yeah, I'm sure there was dickheads. If you go back 1,000 years, you had dickheads.
Of course, yeah. They just didn't have the ability to
hammer it into a stone or something like that. They probably give up, like, you know.
Hashtag.
It was a bad time to have to be an outrage culture.
Yeah. 40 characters. Oh, so take me all day.
Yeah,
Jesus.
We chisel's blunt, and I'll finish it tomorrow. Like, no one ever read it. Digging it up. That's probably what the stuff on Newgrange is now. All the spirals. What do they mean? Someone calling someone else something else. Bad yeah. I actually went down to Newgrange there because I'm off work now for a while. And I said, I'm going to do a few of these things that I never did before. I was in Newgrange before, like in
school tour, primary
maybe
school
the late 80s, early 90s. I can just about remember it, but man, it's deadly. It's an hour, like, it takes. I just slight tangent, I suppose. It was good crack, Newgrange. I'm going to do Kilmainham Jail or something next now. Because to be honest, when I was listening to Anthony Murphy, is that his name?
Mythical Ireland. Yeah.
He was talking about Newgrange. Said, you know what, Newgrange is on our fucking back door, and I couldn't even tell you how to find it, like, you know. So
yeah,
I had to. He said it was like Evan. This podcast, drinking, Newgrange, holidays, everything was for the last 6 months is after the Ross. I'll do that. So
yeah, of course,
now I am. I'm just ticking off all these things I said I'd do after the Ross. So it's a bit more time in my hands. But yeah, Newgrange, it's good because his podcast again, like a few of them before I really get into this off the lead. Like I think I said at the time, Ivor was in school with me, so I heard Ivor was on the podcast. So I wonder what he's up to now. Blah blah blah. I haven't seen him this long time, but so I listened to Ivor, and this was deadly, and then I listened to Anthony Murphy. Then slowly but surely I get into them all, like, and I've listened to every single hour you ever put out. So it's going well. But that's just what made me think of Newgrange there. When I saw the Off the Lead Cup, I just thought of Anthony Murphy.
Yeah, my branded merchandise compliments of my little brother.
Yeah, free for the first 50,000 followers on Twitter.
Yeah,
first 50,000 abusers get a free cup. Yeah.
I got my first complaint there not so long ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Joy Boot texted me and said, what's the story with the 40th solo podcast? Have you been listening to the solos as well?
Of course, yeah, I thought of that. That's what I was saying to you at the start. I said, I haven't heard from you in a week. I wonder has he lost interest? Would you assure me you hadn't? So that's why I was reassured. But yeah, where is it?
It's in the fucking pipeline. If you ever fucking do 40 podcasts in 40 days or ever attempt to do something like that, just fucking do it. And for anybody listening, just fucking do it. And I should take my own fucking advice and just fucking do it. Because I've
going so well there for
I was going so well, yeah. No, you fucking build it up, and we all do this shit. Like, do you know what I mean? You build this stuff up in your head, and you're like, no, I'll do it tomorrow, and then it's a week,
because your last one, you probably there's extra pressure that this has to be the best ever podcast.
Stupid, like. Now, in fairness, it's not just been that I'm up to me fucking eyes and work, which is not a bad complaint by any stretch. Took a lad on full time there a couple of weeks ago, so the business is finally taken off. Thank fuck.
Yeah, happy days.
But yeah, no, number 40 is in the pipeline.
Because man, I'm sitting there at home every day.
Oh, refresh.
Where is this fucker's podcast? Jesus Christ! So like every day, like it's just go to bed. Damn it, please now tomorrow morning. Just first thing.
Please let me wake up and see number 40
I'd like to
is
see
there.
Blind Boy and number 40 together. I'd be happy. It'd be a good day, like, you know. Yeah. But yeah, podcast is great, isn't it? It was.
But you use the time. Presumably, you listen to your podcast when you're out on the bike, do you?
Yeah, I commute into work. Well, I used to when I had a job, but that'd be like an hour every day. And then, to be honest, the way my office worked for the last 6 or 8 months of my job, it was literally just me and maybe 1 or 2 others that I was working for. The rest are in Poland or India or something. So I just started listening to the podcast at work then. So I was motoring through them. Like I said, sometimes you'd, like, if you went a day or two, you'd have a build up and said, shit, I have like 50 hours of the podcast to listen to this week. What am I going to do? And then, oh yeah, I just listened to them all day at work at 3 in the morning. But yeah, I listen to that and, like, you know, whatever is, like, obviously yourself, Blind Boy. Like, I'm big into films as well, and obviously, and so I listen to a load of movie podcasts, and then I'd listen to, like, Second Captains, you know, the sport guys, off the ball as well. Like, so I'm mad for football, soccer, most sports except pretty much GA and rugby. I'd listen to anything about them all. So, like, usually it's just fine enough. Like, Monday morning, you're talking about the weekend's Premier League actions. You don't have to watch a match anymore because you can listen to it all. You can
the podcast.
You can find out exactly what happened in every single game from the fucking lads who did watch them all week. You don't have to commit any time. You don't have to read any articles anymore. It's great, isn't it? Podcasting. I remember Shane O'Brien was always on about podcasts. And he's like, nah, shite, fucking shit, waste time, blah 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 blah. And then I was actually on holidays 3 years ago, maybe. Let's just say 3 years ago. And one of the lads, like, it was 2 couples, I suppose, ourselves and another couple. And your man goes one day, oh, you listen to there on the plane. And I said, I just listen to whatever, YouTube or whatever I listened to. I don't know what it was, but I go, well, what are you listening to these days? I was listening to the podcast, Second Captains. I go, what the fuck is this podcast show you about? Like, you know? And I go, how do you just sit there and listen to a podcast? Like, he said, you never listen to one? No. I said, I won't even know how to get one. And then he said, I'll show you. I don't care. Not interested. Good luck. Good luck, mate. Good luck. Not. And then, I don't know what happened. I think a few months later, again, like, we're real Celtic Tiger kids now. We were on holidays again a few months later. And at this stage, my wife had got into podcasts. And she's there listening to sniggering away, like, let's say we're on a train journey, and she's there laughing away at what she's hearing. And I said, what are you fucking listening to? Oh, it's so funny. And she goes, I just got into this podcast. I think it was Planet Money or something. I said, podcast. Give me a break.
Again.
But then I said, I humour you, and I listened to one of these episodes that you were recommending. And so I listened to that, and like about 8 seconds later, like, I had about 7,000 podcast subscribers, and I was just getting overwhelmed by the amount of them, and I was dead, you know. So the only thing is, and Shane says the same, like, your music listening to, see, we would have always been a fiend for new music and just any music and always listen to music, but that goes by the wayside, and like, your headphones time is now solely podcasts, like, just to keep up, and you hardly ever get to listen to music anymore.
Well, there's a halfway point there for you, if I can think of the name of it.
Music podcast, is it?
Yeah, but it's Song Exploder. Is that the name? Yeah. Are you familiar with that?
No, I've heard a few of them, yeah, but the missus, she listens to loads of them, Song Exploder in the car all the time, yeah.
I haven't listened to it in ages now, actually.
Usually by the time she explains it to me, I said, there's no point in listening to it now, you've told me everything about it. Like, so
yeah,
it's great.
Of course,
it's great.
Yeah,
it's I just think, now I get to the stage where I've someone recommends you a good podcast. Oh, man, I don't know now.
Yeah, it's a big commitment putting another one in the favourite, like.
I'm struggling to get through the ones I have now. Go on, what is it? And they'll tell me, right. Go on. See, like, you were talking about Blind Boy. Other lads are telling me about Blind Boy. And I just saw him popping up. And I associate Rubber Band with the Honda Civic. It's hilarious, but I hate that type of humour.
The horse outside crash, yeah.
And I associate that wrongly with Pat Short and this sort of...
Yes.
Over the top fucking culty humour, and I can't stand that type of humour. It just drives me mad. So I always associate, and I said, Grant, I listen to this fucker's podcast just to humour a friend of mine, Michael. And I said, Grant, listen to it. And then his accent straight away, I said, is this? I was right, it is Pat Short. It is a stupid gone-bean accent in the country. He says, no, just listen to what he said. And then I thought, this is actually deadly, yeah. And then remember the one he was talking about McGregor tweeting him?
Yes.
That was the one that really said, wow, that was that was class. And then now it doesn't matter what he's talking about. I think it's brilliant. I love Rogan as well, but some of his guests just have no interest, no appeal to me whatsoever. But if I get to the stage where I have nothing up next, and he's after putting out 75,000 hours in the last 3 days, it is no. But again, like, it's like anything else. It doesn't really matter who he's talking to, because usually you'll find something interesting in it at all. Like, he had Kevin Smith on last week, I think, and they were talking about
Who's Kevin Smith?
he's like, remember like Jay and Silent Bob, remember them films, like, you know, and,
Vaguely, yeah.
He was the writer of them, and
Right.
he played the part of Silent Bob, I think, as well. But he was like, I thought he was going to talk about films, great, but I don't think they mentioned films at all. And I said, when are they going to get to the movies? And then he started talking about your man had a heart attack or something. He was like literally at the pearly gates and all that, and he recalled, I said, that was deadly. But then Blind Boy a few weeks ago, he said something like that he was talking, one of his hot takes was about dogs, and that there's no such thing as a dog, it's a human creation, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
And they all descended from the wolves, and it's all crossbreeding, and all this, and so it's all, every dog you have is a human creation, more so than anything else. And he said the Irish Wolfhound was like the current Irish Wolfhound, or the Irish Wolfhound, let's say they became extinct thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
And the current one is a version of that wolfhound that was bred based on memory and based on legend of the other one. So and I'm thinking, wow, that is amazing. So then I was just sitting down with Neve, and I says, did you know about this dogs? And she was saying, that is the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. And I said, no, he was doing his research. He said, this is something he's come across in his research recently. And I said, we'll look it up there now. And man, I went to page 400 in Google, like, you know, I searched it in, and it was next page. There wasn't one thing that remotely even hinted at this. And I said, fuck, maybe it is bullshit. And then Rogan was talking about Kevin Smith last week as well. Yeah, it's just like pretty much the exact same. Now, they didn't mention the Irish Wolfhound, but they mentioned all dogs. And it was the exact same. I said, if fucking Joe Rogan is saying it and Blind Boy is saying it, it's a fact. And that's good enough for me. All we need next is for Fran McKeown to say it, and it's sold. You know, it's going into the gospel. Fact. But yeah, it's good crack now. It's good to have something to listen to.
That's brilliant though, because
especially you in the van every morning, like, you know, you'd be perfect for you, is it? Yeah, just stick one in the ears and
big time, yeah. Like I listen to my commute, for want of a better term, is my deliveries, because where I work is only 5 minutes down the road. But I'm delivering to Dublin now 4 times a week, so that's 2 hours a day, 2 hours 4 times a week. Do you know what I mean? So there's fucking 16 hours straight away. Like,
brilliant. 16 free hours. Get in.
Yeah, well, it's the only time that I have, because outside of that, I'm just flat out all the time, between the 4-year-old, the baby, yourself, the business, and, you know, you said it yourself earlier on, life, like, you know, it catches up with us all.
You still squeeze a good 20 hours a week, though. Solid 20 hours if you had to, like, you know, podcasting, pure podcasting.
But it's great though, because you can be a lot more selective. Gone are the days when you put on the telly and kind of, you know, you watch whatever's on.
Just so happen to be on, like, at home, but on RTE there.
Yeah.
But it's only the Angels put on RTE. I said, doesn't matter what's on it. If it was on RTE, it was being watched, and that was the end of it, like, you know.
Yeah, because it came up with who would I have on? Oisin Farry. He said that he remembers coming home and he'd want to watch something at 8 o'clock, and he'd come home and he'd stick on the telly at 6. Yeah. So that meant, like, he sat down at 6 to watch whatever was coming on at 8.
Doesn't matter what was on in the meantime. He was
exactly. He was fucking watching it.
But we were the same, like, in Saturday and Sunday morning telly, like, you'd wake up and you could put on Channel 4 at 8 o'clock, and it'd be shit you'd want to watch all the way through. But now, I don't know what young people watch now, because it's all on Netflix, it's all on YouTube, it's all on, like, it's like you said, selective, but you probably miss out a bit. Because it's selective, you don't stumble upon anything that you might have.
I know what you see. There's a danger.
You're not necessarily guaranteed to be missing out, but
the danger, I think, is that you get caught in an echo chamber.
Yeah, exactly.
You only listen to.
You only see the stuff that you're recommended based on other stuff you like, you know. I remember reading this thing in The Guardian or something last year, one of them long reads, and they were talking about, like, how the information you get fed is only based on what you like. And she said, here's the proof for it. He said, like, whatever, I don't know what the number. Many people voted for Brexit. Let's say 10 million people voted for Brexit. 10 million people voted to have breakfast every morning. So therefore, we're all having breakfast. Yeah, 10 million people voted for Brexit. And, like, 200 million people voted for Donald Trump. Yeah, I've never once seen any of these people because I'm caught in my own bubble. Like, I'm voting my no for Brexit and voting for Hillary. Yeah. I'm on a million social media feeds. I'm looking at the news every day and I've never seen one person who voted. So who are these people that are voting for Trump?
Yeah.
Who are these people that are voting for Brexit? And it's because all your information is so condensed based on all your likes and everything that you're not gonna see the other side ever. So
but the danger of that is that the other, as you call them, there, that's what they become. They become
exactly. Yeah,
they
they're
become
completely
the
marginalised.
other. Completely, like, and it's dodgy fuckers. Do you know
exactly. So now, like, who? It's a good question because like, even in my very limited interest in both campaigns now, whoever the president of America is or whoever the Brexit is, maybe I should take more of an interest. I'm just not into it. And but yeah, I've never once. Oh, this Brexit is a great idea. All I ever see is everyone saying how shit it is. Like, I said, fair enough. There's obviously, but the Trump as well. I never see anyone who supports Trump. Like, whereas in reality, there's quite a lot of them.
Well, I mean, he got elected,
exactly,
so
unless there was something dodgy going on, which definitely isn't the case.
Oh, absolutely not.
For the FBI who are clearly listening to this podcast now on a daily basis or 3 weekly basis now, Fran, you need to sort that out.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I fucking do. I fucking do. But yeah, look, no, but you said to me before we started recording, you were kind of not. I was going to say worried. Obviously you weren't worried about it, but you were thinking, is he doing this or is he not doing this? Whatever. I absolutely am, and I do it
because I was afraid. I sent you the text or the email last week. I said I'm going to get him back now, and he says, "Yeah, about that, mate. Something I thought maybe something had gone wrong or something had." It had a strategy. So I'm glad to hear you didn't,
Yeah, no, it's full steam ahead. It's just a matter of fucking
yeah.
ironing work out and getting a bit of a routine in place and starting to take my own advice and stop preaching to people about shit that I'm not doing myself.
Yeah, I'm sure we all do that, don't we? Yeah,
has to be done.
We all do that.
But brother, we just hit the 2-hour mark. Thanks a million for coming on.
No bother.
And if somebody is in, where is your cycling club? Give your cycling club a plug.
Oh,
if you're looking for, not that you're looking for new members, but if
I know, it's just
anyone was
St.
interested,
Tiernan Cycling Club. So like last year I did a blog, like a report about the Ross, I guess. So like,
what's the blog called?
Yeah, I just called the Ross or something. So it's on the website there, but it got a good response. So I'm trying to write this year's one, but the weather's been so good, man, that I couldn't be bothered sitting in the fucking room typing up this thing. So I'm
write it outside, no?
Yeah, well, then you have to bring the laptop downstairs. It's just an absolute pain. I'm just getting lazy. I wrote a bit of it and then I just said, I could definitely come back to this tomorrow. So I'll give myself a target now of maybe next weekend. I'll try and have it done by then. So. And
you said that the one you did for last year's on the website. On what website?
Yeah, StTiernanCC.com. Yeah, so if you look up St. Tiernan Cycling Club, it's on there. And yeah, anyone who ever wants to know any more about the Ross and what it takes to put a team in, you can let me know because maybe not the expert, but I know what has to go into the organisation now and all that, and just getting 5 lads around the country safely.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the amount of we only barely scratch the surface.
Yeah. No, it's probably to be honest, for the uninitiated, and it mightn't be for everyone to discuss it, but I just can't understand that it's like one of the biggest sporting events in the country, or only one of the only international tournaments that's held here. I know we have rugby and all this these sort of tournaments. This is like an international professional UCI approved race every year in the country for 8 days, and it's of an unbelievably high standard, and yet it passes through towns and people don't even know what's going on. So
I'm guilty of that myself, complaining about why is the road closed or what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, but I think if you had an international whatever soccer tournament, okay, that's fair enough, it's on a different level. But if you had an international, I don't know, I hear it's our 4th biggest sport or something in participation wise, cycling at the moment in Ireland, and there's a big international event taking place every year and no one passes any remarks. So
you see, it's pardon me, it's part and parcel of what we were talking about there 2 minutes ago. It's the loop that you're in, and that's partly the reason I started this podcast was to give everyday people a window into what is the Ross.
Yeah. So it's good. That's why I learned a load of shit listening to any of the boys that come on. I wouldn't say there's one thing about air traffic control I don't know now. I haven't listened to phone, so I'll tick that box as well now. I could probably do his job tomorrow. But, just I'm serious. Yeah, this it's good. I like the fact because when Ivor come on to the set and then you had I said, oh God, I'd never go on that because I've never gone down that. I've never been in the jungle, so Ivor wins the podcast, like, so I have to do something else. But then you have other lads on just talking normal shit, and that's also interesting too, because it's just nice to hear a chat without like necessarily having to have saved the world or something to go on to.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm struggling to get people on who just to have a conversation. Well, most people's aversion is what they'll say is, "Oh no, you know, I haven't competed in Ross, or I haven't done ayahuasca in the jungle, or I haven't done something worth talking about."
That would have turned me off as well when I heard Ivor said, "Right, okay, well, I guess
can't top that."
I guess that's kind of the level he's at now. So he's interested in lads who are into that sort of thing. So that's where it's going. I find it like I'd never heard of ayahuasca before Ivor came on. I didn't know the first fucking thing about it, and like I just find it like I'd never in a billion years go near it. But it's I find it very interesting how Ivor's story. I just thought it was fascinating. Yeah, brilliant.
And what about psychedelics, not ayahuasca, say?
I wouldn't. I'm a control freak, man. The possibility of losing any sort of sense of control would break me heart. Like, you know, it's even.
And would you get bananas drunk? Would you get blind drunk at all? Or?
I used to drink a good bit. I was never a huge drinker, to be honest. Like, I used to get hammered like on Saturday night, but that would be it then for the week. Nowadays I have 5 pints and I can't get out of bed the next day.
Yeah.
And like again, another thing after Ross, I can't wait till after Ross. I'm going to drink so much beer. I am going to drink so many pints. I went home, I had a can, like a 330 mil, 330 mil can. I drank that. So this is great. Cracked open another one, and then like, Nico's one other can. I'm good. Just about an hour after opened, there's half it still left.
Yeah,
flat.
of course.
I said I can't drink. I'm too fucked, like, you know. Like, after that, like, it's a hard week, but yeah, no, I'm not. I wouldn't have been a huge drinker, but yeah, the psychedelics thing was it's cool. Like, I'd love to be able to experience what it's like without having to do it. If you get me, you know.
Yeah, of course.
For 30 seconds, you know, and then that's it. But nah, it's I'm sure it's deadly for some people, but it wouldn't be
your
my cup
tea.
of chai, yeah, as I say.
But it's funny though, because I think a lot of people, again, I've spoken about this idea of being in different loops and that, and like Ivor being, let's say, the psychedelics loop, but I think a lot of people are out of the drug loop.
Yeah.
So they hear about a drug that isn't, you know, coffee, tobacco, or alcohol, and everything else is drugs, and drugs are bad.
I was in that camp myself many years. Like when in Pat's lads smoking hash and all that, I never touched it because I was always kind of it's drugs.
Well, it's drilled into you, so drugs are bad.
That's it. So if I took drugs, parents would murder me, this sort of thing.
And you'd be homeless in 6 months.
Yeah, and then blah blah blah, and then I kind of got to the stage where I went to college and all that, and that was less of a thing. It just became my thing that I just didn't want to do. I said, I've got this far, I just couldn't be bothered. It just doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't appeal to me. And then it just kind of, I guess you fall into a different ritual then, where you're never really around it anymore. Like, you know, you're not involved in it. You're not there. Like, I've seen. But then last year, actually, I can't remember, I think I said this to you before the podcast, but when we were on the stag in Budapest 5 years ago, you and Patter were smoking hash or smoking joints or something, and I just said, "Yes, fucking mad bastards. You are crazy bastards. Like, I can't believe it, doing drugs in a foreign country. Wow." And you were just like, "What are you fucking talking about?" And then I just said I never did, and you asked me why, and I just said, God, yeah, the reason I didn't do it in school is because drugs are bad. Then the reason I did it in college because I just I felt I'd missed the boat and I wasn't arsed anymore. So I've got to this point now, why bother? But then last year we went to Amsterdam. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, he announced his European tour, and I said, Grant, right, when is Dublin? The fucker, he's not playing Dublin. So we were massive fans of his, so we said, let's go.
So who is he? Sorry?
Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, yeah.
I wouldn't know that at all.
He's just an Australian singer, yeah.
Right, cool.
You'd know a couple of songs you heard him, I'm sure, but he always plays in Ireland, just for some reason didn't, so we just looked at the lists of cities and said, right, Amsterdam is on a Friday night, let's just go there, let's make a weekend out of it. And then Niamh was going, will we have a bit of the old wacky tobacco when we go there? And I said, jeez, I don't know. What if it goes wrong, like?
Yeah.
What if it goes horribly wrong? And I'm just... Then, like, we had the flight booked for 6 months, so every so often we revisit the subjects. I said, right, off I go. first night, right, let's do it tonight. Therefore, the flight's not for 3 days. We definitely won't miss the flight tomorrow. Right, this I swear to God, this is what I'm saying. And then I said, I don't want to smoke it. I don't want to smoke it. Right, yeah, Neve didn't want to smoke either, so we get some of those muffins.
Oh God, you'll do edibles instead of smoking it.
Yeah, I know. And then we went to, we got there late enough at night because our flight was delayed or something. We were strolled around town anyhow, and we were both really nervous about.
Yeah.
We weren't even talking about it. It was like this thing that we knew we were going to do, but we didn't want.
Antsy, like.
Yeah. So we're walking past all these cool looking bars or cafes, coffee shops, and then he goes, "What about this one? No. What about that one? No. Oh, why not?" So I think we need to get one that's close to the hotel, just in case something goes wrong, you know. So at least you'd be close to the hotel then. It was grand. So back to the hotel we go. Walk 10 meters to the right. Go to the one there. And it's a real kip, you know, there's nothing doing in there. So I said, "Give me 2 of those muffins, please, my good man." Gives me 2 of the muffins. Said, "Where can I eat them?" "Oh, upstairs, there." So upstairs, took a bite out of it. And nothing happened. I was like,
Of course, yeah.
wow. So then 2 of us gobbled them up. We're waiting there about an hour later, your man came up. Right, you have to close them, mate.
This is what, an hour later?
About an hour later, we're closing. We said, that was the biggest load of bollocks I ever did in my life. Anyway, well, sure. We'll smoke it tomorrow, maybe. And walk back to the hotel, go to bed. I was lying in bed, and next minute, I said, I think I can feel it. I just imagining I can feel something here. Something, I don't know. I couldn't even describe it. And then the 2 of us started laughing at something. I said, "Nah, this is bullshit. I'm just laughing because I think that I associate laughing with eating one of these fucking things." But then I just said to her, "Do you ever see Point Break, the movie, you know, the surfing film?"
Yeah.
But I said to her, "If Johnny Utah is undercover, why does he use his real name?" And like, we laughed for about 2 hours. And then I fell asleep, and I was just imagining the DJ was fucking playing music at the bottom of the bed, and it was all yellow lights in the room. And I said, this isn't what the hash is meant to be like. What is going on here? And eventually I fell asleep anyway. I woke up the next morning, still feeling a bit funny. And I was trying to ask, will we go for breakfast somewhere? I couldn't fucking string 2 words together. I said, what? But eventually, like 10 minutes later, to get outside, it wore off. But then, like on the third, I said, "Oh, I can't do it tomorrow night. We're going to the concert. We'll smoke on Sunday." So again, we walked around all day Sunday. When it got dark, right now is the time. So I went on to TripAdvisor, like best fucking coffee shop for a novice in Amsterdam. So I recommend this one. I couldn't tell you the name of it, but walked down to it anyway. So we walked into the coffee shop, took a seat, and like had a menu in my hand. I was like, "You go up." No, you go up. "I'm not going up." "No, you go up. Come on, you're better. You're better." And then we argued after about half an hour. I said, "Right, I'll fucking go up." So it says, "All right, mate. Hey, what's the story?" And I said, "Listen, I'll level with you. I've never smoked before in my life." "Well, then you have to get out." He said, This is only for experienced smokers only, experienced dope heads only." I go, "Are you serious?" "Yeah, serious. Go." And I'm like, "Okay." He says, "No, I'm only kidding. What do you want?" So I said, "All right, God, man, I was nervous enough about coming up here in the first place." I said, "Give me something that you give a beginner." He said, "What do you mean?" And I was like, completely answered. I said, "Just give me fucking anything at all. Give me a quick. Here's your money. Go." I back down to it. And he goes, "Smoke it. Take 2 drags out of it and then put it out and wait 20 minutes.
Sound advice.
So 2 of us took 2 drags out of each.
You bought a pre-rolled joint.
Yeah. And Eve went, no. He said, "Just take 2. He said 2 each. Right, grand. So we're, how long is gone? 3 minutes. All right. Do you feel that? No, me neither. I feel a bit, I'm just trying to imagine that I was feeling anyway. Eventually we smoked that one anyway, went and got a Snickers that I thought was the nicest thing I'd ever tasted in my life. So I said, that's definitely that's definitely something that's out there. And then we went and got another one later on. I said, "Let's go for a walk." I just thought everyone had, even the Brazzers in the red light district. We went for a loop of that, and I thought everyone had a real rotten Longford accent or something. Like, I thought everyone was Irish. I said, this isn't what it's meant to be like at all. But there was like a load of lads arguing outside the pub. And I said, typical. The only fucking people in the whole city that are fighting are the Irish knackers coming over. And she says, they're not even speaking English. And in my head, they were complete, like, even the brassers were saying, like, here, come on in, boss, come on in. Come on in, I'll do anything you want, I'll do it. She goes, what are you talking about? And I said, God, this is so weird. And then, like, I said, that's not what it's meant to be like at all. 20 minutes later, then it was gone. She was getting another one. Fuck that, I'm done. That's me retired now. I did it. I can say I did it, and no one can accuse you of not trying it before. So that was my one and only marijuana, as the coaches say, as the
guards say.
The Each say. That's such a. I could just imagine Pat Short now calling it marijuana. So,
Yeah.
it was good. So I thought I'm sure it's deadly for some. It just doesn't suit me. I don't think so. If everyone has an Irish accent after 2 dries of a joint or something, it's not mixed.
That's a powerful joint.
It's not mixing well with my own regular psyche.
But you see, your story is so so kind of typical though.
Yeah,
do you know, not knowing and going in and
yeah.
wondering and going, ooh, and you're almost like a child. Like, you're like, ooh, should we?
Yeah, I don't remember it being like that with the drink though. The first time I had a drink, I said.
Yeah, but that's because you were probably fucking 12.
Probably
or
a lot
something.
younger. Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Wasn't as hung up and didn't have 20 years of wondering behind me at that time, too.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, class. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, listen, an absolute pleasure, brother.
Yeah,
absolute pleasure. Thanks a million for coming on again.
Appreciate it, and good luck with the rest of it and the comeback. I'm looking forward to number 40.
Number 40's coming. It's coming.
Good stuff. Look forward to it.
Cheers again, brother. Good luck.
No bother.